So on this episode of Can of Worms, we have Eric and Tom from TruBlooms in Farmingdale.
Yep.
What's Main Ave, right?
Yep.
Right across from Line X, pretty much.
Yeah, it's just right across from Line X. Used to be the old Charlie's Pizza for those that from the area, and just before J&S if you leave in Gardner.
Right.
Yeah, my parents lived in that neighborhood. Actually.
Yeah, around the corner of Park Street.
Yep.
So how did it all become?
Oh, how much time do we got?
As much as you got. As much as you want.
Yeah. Well, I would say that it goes back a number of generations for the sake that Tom and I have been buddies since fucking third grade, fourth grade. He moved up from Florida, and we didn't know it that we were neighbors, right? One day, and me and a couple of my buddies, we were like the wise ass jokes around the neighborhood and shit, and so we'd always just pick on the new kids, and so I was picking on this new kid, and he's like chasing me around the neighborhood, and then after that lunch, I see my brother sitting by this guy, and I'm like, what are you fucking doing sitting by? That's the guy that chased me around. And he's like, no, man, he's cool. He's with us, and I'm like, all right, and then so it turned out he was neighbors, and then so we'd go down there and hang out, and his parents would come up and smoke weed with my parents, and so it was just the way that it was.
His mom cut my hair.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And
it just worked.
Yeah, so we all just hung out. He's brothers and sisters. I got two brothers, and so it was just like always a crowd, Yeah. So we just known each other forever growing up, For the most part, went to same schools. High school, I went to Gardner, I went to Erskine.
Yep.
Yeah, and then.
But same class, 98.
Yeah, same class. Did you end up coming back to Gardner?
I did for 1 year. I was perfect attendance, freshman and sophomore year. 1 year they sent me back to Gardner. Next thing you know, skipping school.
Yeah.
Past 50%.
Rubs off on you.
So I did that. I came back for 1 year. That's when we kind of locked back up and started hanging back out again a little bit in between.
Yeah.
But then I went back to Erskine, graduated from Erskine.
Yeah.
But we always stayed in touch.
Yeah.
Like we were like more brothers than our own brothers.
My mother would. I knew what my mom was up to. My dad sold weed, right? And so my mom would be like, "Going out with Jeff and Paula? You want to go with me? Go see the kids?" I'm like, "Yeah." So we'd jump in and scream out to fucking Whitefield, Jefferson, wherever they were living at the time. And so we'd hang out, and then went on, and then. Oh, let's see, after high school and stuff, wound up getting back to, I met him again because, we didn't see each other for a couple of years, whatever, and then he started dating his wife, right, at the time, which we were mutual friends because I knew her from somebody else and this and that. Yeah. And I'm like, she's like, oh my God, fucking Tom, man, I know Tom, he's good shit, and so the next thing we're all hanging back out again.
That might have been how I locked down the wife.
Hey, listen.
Knowing the right people.
Whatever works.
Yeah, she was getting enough, oh, he's a good dude, you can go for it.
Yeah.
Which I kind of did. I felt like that. I was like, yeah, let me throw this guy a fucking bone and get, you know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
And so, and then we hung out, and we were like 21, 22, started hitting the bar and shit, doing that kind of scene. Yeah. We had our first, grow.
We have to be careful how far we go with this.
Yeah, no, I actually that was the laugh. That was the laugh. I'm not gonna tell you how I acquired the equipment for this thing.
No.
But I'll tell you that it was a really cool story. I'll tell you off camera someday, and then you'll tell me if I should have said it or not.
Okay.
But it was just a family friend, and either way, we had a cool little indoor hydro setup. It was pretty fun. Just a couple of totes drilled out. A couple of plugs.
Yep.
And just made like an old aeroponic setup. This thing even came with like a little CO2 tank and a regulator. And we're like, wow, dude, you can't even get your hands on these things because this was in like 2001, 2002.
Right.
So this was like big no-nos.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so, but we did it, and it turned out pretty friggin' cool.
It was like the attic space of this small apartment.
Yeah.
That there was no ladder to this attic. The only way to get to it is I had to put a stool on the dinner table and climb up onto this ledge or this loft. This loft had this mini door, right? And this mini door led to this huge open space.
Right, it was like Alice in Wonderland. You're like
9 feet clearance, but you would never know it was even there.
Right.
So it was like the perfect hidden spot.
That's awesome.
And this was at a known business that
apartment above a business
that no one had no idea.
We had to be really quiet.
Like the vent, we put black fabric over the vent before we put the exhaust fan on it, so it was exhausting these terpenes, basically, throughout the back lot of this business.
Yeah.
And
They had no idea.
one idea where it was coming from. I mean, it's
I mean,
a skunk lived out back on the
but
trailer.
you know what?
Yeah.
If he did have some idea, he just figured because we worked. We were working hard and we weren't home all day. You know what I mean? We were busting our asses.
Right.
At that time, I worked for City Hall. Well, you were doing landscaping with this other guy, and we were just busting our ass. You know what I mean? Getting work done. So
Paying the rent. So
we
he's
were
not gonna
doing
say
it.
shit.
Right?
Yeah.
And so he didn't really give a damn.
Then, throw a wrench in things, my firstborn comes.
Yeah.
And the wife is like,
Gotta
yeah.
go.
Were you guys
Gotta
living
go.
together or
No,
it was
actually,
He definitely passed out on my couch.
Yeah.
That's a regular.
numerous
That's a
nights.
regular. I get smoking weed,
First one
dude.
to
Come
fall
8:30 at night. I don't care where I am. I'm like.
But no, it was me and my
Especially a long
girlfriend,
night.
wife now, girlfriend at the time. We had this apartment,
Yeah.
but my firstborn came, and she's like, "Yeah, this is all done." So
Yeah.
we squashed all that. And then Eric called me one day, and he's like, "Yeah, I think we should do something at my house." And I'm like, bro, I think you should just do your own thing.
Right.
Like, just do it on your own, and like, I'll support you. I'll help you do whatever you need to do. But like, we're gonna take a break, and you just do your thing.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I encouraged him, just do it on your own. Just And
But
he
at that
did.
point, it was just a small thing. But at that point, that was when I had moved to Alaska because when Calvin was born, I was already in Alaska.
Yeah.
And so I had moved to Alaska to go to school and stuff. Went to college up there. Because you reach that point in your life. You're in your early 20s. You're like, all right, man, something's gonna make
Alaska.
or break me.
That's crazy.
Well, but my mom and my dad went up there. My dad was a flight. He trained to be a flight instructor and stuff. When the mill closed down in Gardner, down at Paper Mill, when it was Yorktown, he just took a severance, and then him and my mom packed everything up, drove to Alaska. He did all his training up there. Got his flight instructors, came back, had a little thing going on at Wiscasset before he passed away. But so when I'm like I said, I'm like 23, and I'm thinking, I gotta go to Alaska. This is cool. So I packed up, went to college a little bit. We hung out. That was fun because this incident is a pretty cool incident to talk about because at this point, was growing
This is
some.
when we solidified our brotherhood.
Yeah, so I had done some outdoor weird scenario. Like I said, my family runs deep in it, right? And so we did some outdoor with my grandmother's husband at the time, right? She was the coolest fucking grandma on the planet. And so we did some outdoor way up north, like Sherman Mills, way up north stuff, right? And we did it together. But then I moved to Alaska halfway through the summer, so I'm like, dude, let me know when it's done and we'll take care of it. Yeah. Well, one day he tells me, oh, there's nothing there, man. I went up there, I got ripped off, there's nothing there. And I'm like, I don't fucking believe you at all, right? So like Google just popped off on their maps. It's something interactive, but you can print shit off. Yeah. So I printed off a bunch of maps of like at least what you can see off from Sherman Mills and like the roads. And it's easy to find, right? You take a right, you look for the dirt road, take a left. There'll be a stick on the ground. Take a fucking right. I mean, it's easy. That's what you do.
I'm literally like writing this down.
So
as he's
I
telling
give him
me.
this map. Head way out to the middle of the heat. I don't know where he's going. So I give him this map. I'm like, dude, you got to go there. I'm pretty certain he's lying.
Yeah.
So him and his younger brother, they jump out one morning, I don't know, 2, 3 in the morning, head north, and they go out and he takes most, the directions that I gave him and walked right to the friggin' gardens. Walked right to it, right? And it was in the fall. So I'm thinking, he's not only did I think that he told me they were stolen, but he told my grandmother that they were stolen too. So essentially, this guy was a scumbag. So I got to say,
you're talking about her husband?
It was her husband.
Okay.
The guy was a scumbag.
Yeah.
Right? I knew he was lying to both of us.
Right.
So that's what I told Tom. I said, you got to go get this dude. There's no way he's going to get me or my grandmother. He ain't doing that. So he sure enough went right up there.
Yeah.
And walked it up, and I remember he took a couple of pictures, and this was back in the day again. We had to take a webcam and plug it in.
Yeah.
How do you get your pictures, right?
Yeah, there's no
And he
iPhones.
sent me a picture standing right there
with my choppers.
with his choppers, like the Reaper, like holding it like this, and he chopped them all the fuck down, took them all home, dried them up, this and that, and did the whole thing. Well, I tell you what, he called me again. I'm like, dude, you're not gonna believe. I'm like, no, you told me they were already stolen.
Yeah,
like, that's what you
right.
told me, right? Remember that?
It's like I stole it twice.
That's right. Yeah. So at that point, I just took money and I just deposited some into my grandmother's bank account from Alaska because it was like a key bank or something. Mm-hmm. So I just put some in her account. She didn't even know it because I knew this guy. I can't send him the money over like when you go. So.
No.
So that was a fun story, right? And then years went on, we worked this and that, really didn't do a whole lot of growing, but always into cannabis, just knew it as our medicine. And then we got back together after I came back from Alaska. I had a child, his boy's growing up now, our son's growing up and stuff. I had a different business as a dental hygienist. I had told you before I was a dental hygienist. Now Tom was owning his own landscape business. He's cranking it out over there doing that. I'm over here. We're doing this hygiene practice. It was a lot of fun, but we got an opportunity to pick up on a small commercial, cannabis space. So this was back in 2000.
15.
15, I guess. 14, 15, somewhere around there. And so I said, well, let's just see if we can step. I was growing at home at this point. I was already done college, live in Brunswick, had my med card. The wife let me put like a little 4-6 pack of lights in the basement. So I had the basement all blown open.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of indoor growing now for a number of years. Thinking like, man, I'd love to get in this commercial thing. That'd be a lot more fun.
Right.
And so
I kind of the same thing. I gave up on all the little grows. Like I was like, if I'm gonna do this again, it's going to be commercial.
Right.
And so when he got the opportunity on this space, I watched him struggle for like the first month.
So much work. It's so much work.
And try to find help. And he constantly calling me like, yeah, this dude's, sticking me on this day. And I really need to get this done. I was like, dude, listen, I can help you.
Right.
But I want it.
Right. Yeah.
And so, right. And it's just like any conversation, it's like, where's the checkbook,
Right.
And so we got together, and again, I know this guy forever, so I know how hard he works, right? So many other people want a piece of the pie, but I just knew, like a brother, that this guy can fucking work 9 days a week too.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about him showing up or not.
No.
He's showing up.
That's right. On the regular.
Even if shit's not going well.
Because you got a lot of our families, even though we're not related, we've just known each other for so long that, it's like his kids, my nieces and nephews, and vice versa.
Right.
His wife's my sister, vice versa. All that stuff. So it's like I want to make sure that he eats like we all want to eat. And we joke one time, we talked about going on vacation. I said, listen, I want to go on vacation and you want to go on vacation, but I don't want to pay for you and you don't want to pay for me.
Right.
So let's just get some fucking money and go on vacation together, and then we're good.
Right. Yeah. Shut it down.
Yeah.
Is that what you do? Or
Yeah.
you have people that work? You have workers?
Right now at the store?
Yeah.
So no, we do have a couple of excellent workers.
Yeah.
Yep. It is like, it's hard to find, all the right people. Everybody wants to do it, but it's all about the work ethic, and
we still have not gone on vacation together.
Yeah. Let's
I
get
can't
that
on the record.
Still not on vacation.
So he's covered me and I've covered him.
Right.
Yeah,
That's right. It's like he's gonna take a couple weekends off to go here, and I got you.
We joke and we say like, my goal is to have a mural at the grow. It's like a beach scene. So when we're trimming, we're just staring at this beach scene like one day.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah.
Right.
One day we'll go
Not
shit
that
the
bad.
sand.
We're
It's
trimming
like-
on the beach.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So, so it's a lot of work. That matriculated into starting that commercial style stuff. Got our caregiver things. Let's do this. So, I don't know. We started out with 8, 12 lights, picked up to 15 or 16, made all those traditional mistakes. I'm talking the thousands of dollars mistakes everybody did.
And hours. Just
And
down the
hours.
shithole.
Here
And-
we are kicking the fucking lights to it with not enough AC to manage it, or too many plants with not enough dehumidifiers or humidifiers. And so you're battling, you're seeing bugs, you're seeing PM, you're seeing all the mess every single grower has had. And if they say they didn't, they're fucking lying.
Either that
They're
or
lying.
they didn't start the right way.
Right.
You got some of these guys that get kicked into a 40 lighter and they're just given the standard operating
That's right,
procedure
that's right,
and just kind of they don't know. Now you know.
That's right.
That's why you won't go back again. That's why you won't miss those stupid things or
right.
hire that random willy-nilly guy.
That's right.
Oh, I'll save $100 or
Right,
whatever.
that's
No,
right.
you
Someone
won't.
that talks about being a master grower.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So you made a lot of mistakes too.
Just
That's the only way,
contractors.
though.
Just contractors.
That's right.
You burn through them. It's like
Yeah.
you pay a guy to do something. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you go talk to a guy
That's
and
why-
he supposedly knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
That's why you got to start him in the trim room.
That's correct.
You can't
That's
hack it
exactly
there,
right.
then-
That's right. And you can see in the first few days, and you know how it is. It's this industry was built upon, black market to gray market to green market or whatever you want to call it. And it was with the people that wanted to sit around and hang out. And so it had to be at least somebody you could somewhat trust, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're that good at it.
Right.
So you're like, how do I tell them to not come back tomorrow, even though I got a fucking room full of shit to trim?
And they know
what I
they've
mean?
seen it. They see what's left, and you're gonna just be like, "No, we're good."
Yeah, no, trimming's over.
Got
They're like,
this.
they had 3 more days worth of work, you know? So we had to get through all that stuff and, chatted with everybody, tried to figure things out. In the day, as we all knew, it was a bit of a secret anyway, because it's like, some people just, they were kind of like, well, what are you doing? And some people were like, I'm telling you.
I was going to say the sharing of information must have been way different than
It was
now.
different. Now you can really, catch this, idea pretty easy.
Yeah.
But they didn't, they really didn't want to share much with us, So we had to figure it out, but, I think we were fortunate to have some experience.
Yeah, I mean, so TruBlooms, though, like, kind of get back on topic, like, that kind of came out of nowhere. So here we are, we got this kind of okay commercial grow, but really it's small and shitty and wood floor, and we're like, we just need to get out of here. But at the same time, we're like, all right, we're in the middle of this, everybody's opening a store phenomenon. Like, you're allowed to have a store?
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could have a store.
Right.
Cool,
Yeah.
let's get a store.
Let's
do a store first.
Right.
So when was this? Like 2000?
So
This was
16?
18.
Right, because this is 20 or 1918. Well, our thought actually was the thoughts were back in 16, 17, because we both still had our businesses and we had to decide when we were going to get into this.
Right.
And so it was in October.
Struggling for patience. You only got 5.
Right. Yeah, so you got to try to make sure that, you got, and so this was probably, I would say 16-ish that we decided. And so it was another year later, that we just went into it. And we just decided we're going to get out of our other businesses. I had to close up my dental practice, referred the patients.
You owned it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
it's a dental.
That's a crazy jump.
Yeah. Well, dental hygienists in the state of Maine can own their own practice, right? Yeah, and we work with a lot of other people, right? The docs and the referrals and stuff.
Yeah.
But honestly, because we grew up fucking poor, right?
Yeah,
and I
right.
know what it's like to not have any money and never got to the dentist. Like, I took main care and honestly just didn't pay the bills. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And so I was spending all my time over here at this grow, right? Trying to get things done. And that's when like you're saying, like it started to expand and the workflow needed to come in. And so felt that we were spending a ton of time over at the grow. At this point, that was starting to make more money than this. So what do you do, right? Well, just put your finger on a date, and I just closed the practice and said, we're just going to be done. And so it was in October, and we had said, let's go and do this by next October. But we just started right away. Finally got the harvest correct, so we pulled the harvest down and wouldn't sell it, right? People were like, oh, we gotta get it. Like, no, we gotta have something to open a store with.
Yeah.
So we,
Those
sealed
guys
it all
that we
up,
were
cured
selling,
it
those
all
5
up.
guys, they were pissed.
Yeah, which,
I can't have any of that.
but we'll take care of it with the store open. We took care of them.
Yeah. Well, we had some stuff off the side
right.
that they could have, but it was like, this 10 pounds
Some of
needs
this-
to open this store.
You gotta hold on.
If I don't have that, I don't have a store.
Yeah, you don't want to be the dude that like sells
gotta set-
most of it and then you open a week and run out.
Yeah, right.
Because then
We-
you're an
that's
We
asshole.
just
I've heard
didn't
of
want to
it,
have to do that. And honestly, we probably only had, I don't know, maybe 10 pounds, 12 pounds. It
Yeah.
wasn't a lot.
Yeah, right.
But you know what? It lasted a while.
Yeah.
The truth is because at that time, still stores were new. There wasn't really happening a lot. People were super afraid to come in. People with their glasses on, ladies, they'd come in with their glasses and stuff. And I just don't want people to see that I'm here,
Yeah, I'm still not sure. If
Yeah.
this is allowed.
I work I live here and I work over
Yeah.
there, so that's why I'm here. And so that kind of happened. But
We took the Farmingdale ordinance is what we did.
Yeah.
We took that and we like studied it. And we're like, all right, so in the ordinance was like, you can't have anything on the outside of your building that says anything about cannabis.
Right.
Yeah.
Cannot lead anybody in the direction of cannabis on the outside of your store. So no words of cannabis, 420, 710, anything affiliated with cannabis
Right.
was not allowed.
No
So we're
green
like,
cross.
honestly,
Yes,
we
no
actually
green
had
cross,
to,
and it was
we had
in-
to
it's in our
get that
logo.
amended.
Yeah, I know. It's in
Yeah,
the logo too.
yeah,
That's why-
we had to get it
so we sat down, we're just looking at it, and we're like, now we just start writing words down that affiliate cannabis, but they don't know.
Right.
Like
Right.
True and Bloom and
Yes.
Right.
It was almost like the
you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Which
when
was
you
Psycho
see the
Cannabis
green cross, you kind of know what's
And we
going on.
had 2 choices, and we sent it to this designer, this web
Yeah.
designer, and
Yeah.
he worked them right up for us,
Yeah.
and gave us these 2 choices. And we took those 2 choices,
Yeah.
and we put them to like our 5 patients and our wives and our sisters and our brothers, and then we're like, all right, vote. Which one would you lean toward? It was unanimously
Right.
TruBlooms, and guess which one I
Yeah.
liked? True Roots. True Roots was the one.
Right.
Yeah.
But TruBlooms is
Yeah,
the one
so
everybody
it's,
picked, so I had
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Right.
bite it on that one.
It
Yeah.
does flow.
Yeah.
I like the
So
flow.
and we had that picked out, had the names, had this and that, and we had just pennies, right? Again, here we are
course.
saving the crop. We hadn't sold it yet, so we've got just a couple of bucks that we've been saving out of our own freaking pocket, like $5,000 or $6,000. Like this is all I got. And
we get this raw space.
Right, raw space, which is a great space. It was open, but got to do something. So we just went, eclectic. Bought rough cut lumber, made that easy to build out. I'd done some flooring in my days. My uncle owned a flooring thing, so we ripped up the old floor, laid it down, we painted, we drywalled, we just did it ourselves, you know, and started it and had very little stuff on the shelf, but it just build, and the local support you and they love you, so it kind of just went from there, and then here we are 3 years later. Still broke, but
It's expanding.
but it's getting bigger. It's getting more fun. A little more predictable. The relationships have become so much greater. Here we are now. Sitting with Travis and you guys, and it's when you texted the other day, I was like, fuck yes. Like, this is the stuff that where you want to be at.
It's the community needs to do this type of stuff.
And so we went out, pounded the pavement just like anybody would early in the game. Walked into stores. Hey guys, this is who we are. You know, some of them were receptive, and some of them were like, "Your competition's scoping me out," and I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not. I want to trust me. This is not the way it's going to work out." And so, and then most of them, it all came around, and now we have a great community, and people, look out for one another, and work pretty hard.
I think they've all realized that not one store is going to dominate.
Yeah,
that's not the way this is going to work.
Yeah, it's like the beers that you got right there. I mean, they're craft, they're a small company, and they support each other. And I think cannabis is the same in the state of Maine. Which is why it's going to be so difficult for anybody to accept. Anything other than your local people that can do well. You get your local companies that do well. They might expand, make a couple stores for themselves, and good for you, man. Like, awesome. You'll donate to the local hospital. You'll support the local little leagues. You'll give to the to the food banks and all that kind of stuff. And that's exactly what they'll do because they understand it. A lot of us have those same programs.
I think it's just crazy that some places won't let you donate though, just because you're, a weed business.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Have you run into that?
So I've not come into it necessarily because the people that actually we donate to asked. They came to us.
Oh, that's cool.
Like we had food bank come to us.
Every year.
They come right over. Again, a local food bank. That we all probably at least at one point had some peanut butter from. Yeah. So she just came in, said she needed some money, and she said it's to buy peanut butter. And the kids were on vacation. I'm like, I mean, we didn't have much. It was the beginning, but we're feeding the kids.
I had a representative from Halldale come through too one time and wanted us to sponsor a couple seniors, or a senior, and I was like, I'll sponsor two.
That's cool as shit.
And so they got a TruBlooms little thank you, congratulations.
Right.
Yeah. They were both 1,000-point scorers on the basketball team, so I said congratulations on your 1,000-point scoring career.
That's awesome. That's a big deal.
So it was cool because I'm a basketball fan, basketball coach.
Right.
So I was like, wow, that was really cool. As she came in, I was able to pick the two kids that I actually knew, watch them play, and sponsor them. Yeah. As a senior, and I think it gives them like a gift card or whatever to for their college needs.
And it's, I think it was like public recognition too when they handed it out. It was during an event, right? Yeah. So they get to say TruBlooms wellness, and people
and they came to us, and they knew what we were, so it was cool.
Yeah. Because we're all about it. So.
We're definitely nowadays too. We're getting new patients every day, and a lot of them didn't realize what we were because of that whole can't advertise cannabis outside. Right. Yeah. Well, during Corona season, I looked at Eric one day and I was just like, I just want to put medical cannabis on our sign.
We're an essential medical cannabis.
Because every time I ever asked him to do anything that was against the ordinance, he was always like, can't do it.
No, can't do it.
And I'm like, come on.
Yeah. Right.
And so finally, he's like, yeah, there's a lot of leniency right now. Look at all these guys riding around and no registration. Yeah. Let's put it on.
Yeah, it's pure mayhem right now.
It hasn't come on. Right. I've left it up. It's been on both sides.
Has it helped?
It's been phenomenal,
business.
actually.
Yeah.
And
just that little
now
thing.
know what we do. We still.
I know.
I asked the people what do you think we were? They're like, we thought you were a floral shop. A flower, a literal flower shop.
I could see that.
People came in the beginning because there was a vitamin shop there, so they came in at first and was like, "You guys a vitamin shop?" Or,
kind of.
I did it, and you should have seen she was a little old lady, and she kind of stopped, and she's like, "So what exactly do you sell here?" And I said, "Well, we provide." And then she's like, "But do you sell cannabis?" And she couldn't get out of there fast enough.
No, thank you.
Yeah, gotta go. Boom. She didn't want to hear it.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, whatever.
Some of those conversations are the most fun, though.
Well, it is. I mean,
We definitely tell this story a few times after during that day.
Yeah. The conversations that we've gotten, like I said, the ones that kind of hide their faces a little bit and become a little more open. I had one lady. She came. She was 80-something years old, and it's not to pick on any belief, religion, or anything like that. She said something like, I'm 80-something years old, and I'm a Christian woman. I never would have came in here, but my doctor said I should. I said, so what kept you from the doctor or the church? Like, And she just didn't really have much to say, because I kind of smiled and laughed, and she just went on about her business, and it was cool. The diverse groups are. Yeah, it's across.
Well, just adding that to the sign, like I've always thought, how many people would have come into stores that didn't have their card, that could have easily been talked into getting their card.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
100%.
But like, just look at two things on the shelf.
Yeah.
You want to try it or not?
It's like that little tag every agency liquor store has. It's that red agency liquor store.
Yeah.
Why can't people just, if it's exactly the same,
Right.
then you know to look for it.
That's right. Right. And it was, we actually, so what you're saying, we went over the ordinance, but when we got that licensure, what had happened was like a lot of towns, nobody had any kind of licensure or much for ordinance. There's nothing to sign up for. So I go down to the town and I said, hey, listen, this is what's going on. She said, we're about to actually put an ordinance in place, so you might want to. And so I went down to get one, and I think because the ordinance at the time, they were going to put one in place, and people probably didn't know how to approach or really what to say. They never got an application. It was nothing but a political, like the way this thing all rolls out. So I was like, but you don't have an ordinance, right? And they're like, so no. I'm like, so you can't not give me an application, correct? And she's like, well, right. And I'm like, I'll take the application, please. And so we took the application, we filled it out. With all respect to anything, she said, well, then let me just be clear about this, which she was super nice, very helpful. I want to make sure that we talk about how helpful they were. They said, here's what we're going to propose. So whatever you do in your business plan, make sure it doesn't violate this.
Right.
And that's where we sat down and had to come up with all of those ideas and said, oh, well, then what do we do? Because we didn't spend tons of money. And that's where we had to come up with, like, no cannabis leaf, no, you can't say this or that, no, and I was like, oh.
And that's how the cannabis leaf got turned on inside too.
Yeah, super creative guy.
So that way it wasn't like, like the big. Like,
right. I mean, that could be
it's not
leaf.
I know, what is it?
Kind of looks like a palm
looks
tree.
like the one you got on your shirt, right?
Right, a little bit.
But when it's attached to the business name, okay, I see it now.
So that way you can kind of see it, and then it kind of put it in. It was subtle, right?
Yeah,
trying to be a little classy about it without going overboard. Like just standing out like a big pot leaf dancer. Not that it doesn't have its place or its time.
Right.
It's just that's not what they wanted,
No.
Yeah.
And so we had to go with that because they were clear that when they were done with this ordinance, if you don't have an application in, you will not get an opportunity.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
So we said, well, we better get it done.
Right.
So then we went and sat down for the planning board and in the councilors' meetings, and we said, they honestly, I said, well, how'd you guys come up with this ordinance? And they very honestly said, we didn't write it. We just called the local other municipalities, and they'd send us over cut and paste, and we would just throw it in the paper. And so if you weren't here to help us with this, we have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah.
And they were honest about it. So at this point, we're, again, we had to develop some kind of, follow the rules along all of our ways in our lives, and say, well, then we'll help you with it.
Right.
I was
So
gonna say,
we
at least they
sat
were
down,
open about it.
and they were nice. She did say though that when they talked this to other people, she said that the other folks that had called lit into them, were hollering.
Yeah.
And I said, no. I said, I'm on my way down to help actually. And she said, please do.
Yeah.
So we came down, we sat, we chatted. We asked, like I said, I'm kind of like, Tom's like, no, dude, tell them we want the friggin' green cross.
Gotta have at least a symbol, that universal symbol.
Right.
I know.
And the guy said, well, we don't even know what it is, so why we can't allow it? And we're like, see, that's what I mean.
They're
though.
like scratch.
And we just
Scratch
kind of,
straight off.
whatever we was able to find for history behind the green cross, it's essentially like that hidden, like the Mason symbol. If you found the green cross, because in these California or Colorado communities, they had the same ordinance where you couldn't say anything, but they could put up a green cross. And that's how you knew where to go.
Yeah.
So in this case...
Well, in the same, in my mind, along the same lines, it's for people who don't want to go there.
Right.
What if you wander into a store you didn't even...
Right. Had
just
no
in
idea.
case.
Right. Had no idea. Right. So when the ordinance got put together, they did revise it again because the first time, the way that it was written, they talked about, allowing dispensaries and potential of stuff, and they said, whoa, like a lot of towns did, so we got to rewrite this thing. Went back to rewrite it so that way what they wanted to do is grandfather the buildings that are in there. There's some great growers in town. They grow phenomenal flower. They've got, they do their particular scenario. There's no stores, but they wanted to make sure they had a place to be without getting kicked out. And so there was a good handful of us that went down, showed up, supported, got things approved. Everybody that was there was happy with the way it was when we left. And so we've been able to do it, and it's worked out,
No problems.
Really isn't. No problems. And, in like a lot of communities, when they're new to it, they don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
I talked to the guys in Richmond. When they first went into that shoe store down there, that whole factory or whatever it is, they thought that it was going to be parties and, drugs and orgies and all kinds of crazy stuff going on, right? It's going to be
the devil's lettuce is in town.
And then after a couple of weeks, they just forgot about it because nothing went on.
That's usually what happens.
Nothing there.
That's usually what happens.
They paid their taxes.
And what
It's just a business.
Right.
We're just running a business.
That's it.
It's
Right.
not,
Feeding our families.
Yeah.
That's it.
All they have to do is put in a very simple ordinance, and it will take care of all that. Because there still is that. Those growers out there that do. It's tougher now because of the way the market is, but there's a couple things that they could do, and you'd never see that ever again.
Yeah.
Like, those guys are never going to fill out a piece of paper.
Right.
They're never going to do that shit.
Right.
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 You don't do that? Oh, you can't do it here.
And that's and that was the tough part is people they if you weren't up on it, we just happened to call, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, we're doing our ordinance, I'm like, I guess we better hurry on up, right?
Right.
'Cause, so the guys that were probably doing a great job in town, that had no idea, they kind of shit out of luck, but
Right. It's crazy because when we were in Manchester, we couldn't keep up. Like, there's nowhere to go see what's changing.
That's right. Yes. Yes.
I feel the same way.
There's a full-time job.
You got to call every week and say, "Hey, has anything changed?"
Right. Yeah. Well, we since moved. So what happened was like Tom was saying earlier, we decided where do we go with this? We got a patient load. We're allowed to potentially open a store, but do we put money into expanding a grow? It doesn't really. Which way do we go first? Like, where's the market at? And as you imagine, and at the time too, the only opportunity at that time was to do things that were a kind of uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, right.
And so we're like, well, let's just get into. Let's see what the store is all about. So we got to the store, realized that the medical store was a great place to be, and then we had an opportunity to expand into a bigger cultivation space. Which is over to Gardner. So we kind of kept our store in Farmingdale, but then moved into Gardner into a bigger facility, and that's taken a year and a half. As you can imagine, because again, we do the work ourselves. We're gonna screw the boards and hang the all that stuff. We were fortunate to have friends in the industry. We're resourceful, so we can again bang the nails and hit the screws and guys that did electric for us. As a family, a friend of mine, he's an electrician, master electrician, but we're just really close with family. We take care of the kids and stuff like that. And he's like, dude, I'll come do the electric. You just pay for the parts. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right.
I'm saving $25,000 here, which I didn't have.
Exactly.
So,
but it has to be done.
But it has to be done.
Right. It has to be done right.
And it has to be done right.
To be done.
So we were able to get that kind of stuff done, and then slowly but surely, there was 2 pieces to the building, but we can't go into this bigger space, so we start out in the smaller one.
Right.
And that becomes everything, right? You're doing your veg and your flour. You're working it out. You're turning and burning the room. Put the stuff back in it. Veg it up for a little bit. Turn it down. Get a couple harvests. Get some stuff going. So I can
invest back
into that space. And did that as well. And so
deal with the trimmers.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man, have those trimming parties grown and now not grown?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's exactly what we went through.
You guys can come back.
Yeah.
You guys can come back.
Right. And
now we got a skeleton crew of great workers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But, and you've also found, I think the product kind of fit that business model, right? Like, our product's gotten better, so it's less actual trimming, right?
Right.
But then on top of that, like your small stuff that you normally were buying for every friggin' nickel, now it's extracts and pre-rolls and things that, you don't have to have that beautiful, presentable jar-worthy bud that we all want to see, but, if you put it in a jar, it's a great product, but that's not what they want to look at. So you just do something else with it and don't waste your time. Hey, don't trim that thing because you look over and you see that person still on that airy little nugget.
There's always one trimmer who's
shit.
like, he's a great trimmer. But God damn, dude,
Yeah,
not
like,
that
dude,
much.
you don't
How many times you gotta look at it all the way around before you set it down?
Can we smoke
You got
this
all
one?
the angles. Fucking put it in the bag.
Exactly.
You know, so that's kind of how that went. And so we grew into that space. Things got bigger when we first started the store. You know, my grandmother, prior to her cannabis days, she owned a bakery.
Oh, nice.
And so Graham did a bakery over in Pittston. I lived with my grandmother a lot growing up. You know, she was a big influence, you know, for me because, like I said, family at home was, you know, it was pretty, you know, mom was young and things like that, you know,
Yeah.
and the household was, you know, it was an 80s style household, just like you think it might be. Right?
Yeah.
But I got to spend a lot of time with my grandmother, and she was always a real straight shooter. For the longest time, she was actually the security guard at the Kmart in Augusta. But for a long fucking time.
Oh,
so here's Granny packing, right, a little 380.
Really?
The whole time, yeah, walking around secret shopping, right?
I like
and she
that.
used to catch a lot of people. She apparently caught my dad before he was my dad stealing some shit at that Kmart. I don't know.
She ever use the gun?
No, she never used it, but she did chase a lady across Augusta one time because the lady, like, she tried to get her to stop at the door and she kept running. I remember the story.
Took
She
that
kept
to, like,
going.
special.
And she's like, hey, get back. And so she chased her out the door. Lady jumped in the car, ran off, so Graham jumps in the car. And she's now chasing, calling the cops, you know, and so she's like, you know, taking him down. The cops are screaming down this. She's like, fucking bitch. You know, 'cause she I remember her telling the story. She was so
That's
pumped right
awesome.
up. I'm like, you get him, Granny. You know?
Yeah, that's
Does she even know what she stole?
Didn't matter.
I don't know. I don't even remember. It was just the best part of the store was that, actually, I asked him, like, well, did you have your gun and shit? Like, what if she would approach? She's like, I got my gun. You know, I'm not worried about
Always.
it. Another time, that new style Mustang had just come out, and she had bought one, right, with a convertible. So she's like screaming after this lady with a 380, talking about, give me back my fucking milk duds or whatever.
Yeah. Couldn't have been anything too serious.
Yeah, but it was.
hilarious.
But she said the only reason why she went was because when she told her to stop, she insulted her like heavily. You know,
Yeah.
like swore at her and called her fat or something, and was nasty towards her. And she's like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, not only did you steal,
yeah, but you just called me something. I don't-
Disrespect.
Yeah, you disrespected
So,
me.
but anyway, we the point behind that was that we wanted to have a kitchen, right? We just knew that edibles was the thing.
Yeah.
You hear about the West way out west, you know, everything. A lot of great flower, but
Well, so many people don't want to smoke.
That's right. That's
They
right.
want to try it, but they
Accept.
don't
That's
want
right.
to smoke.
So we just said, let's do the kitchen, right? And so it's a small little kitchen. Because we built the space for a practitioner with a little kitchen. But then OMP came in and said, no, you can't do that with no practitioners. And we're like, all right, whatever. So we blew the kitchen open, which was a better idea anyway. And it just got bigger and bigger. We just started by making our small things for inside. And then eventually other stores, again, because we're networking. You know, these guys, they don't have a kitchen, but they would love to sell some products, you know. And we're not making a bunch, you know, we're just
Right.
making a living. So we get a good deal over these guys, and then everybody's back and forth. And so it worked out to, you know, to do a good thing. And so now it's like a nice little, you know, mom and pop scenario, you know, where we're, you know, take care of a few other caregiver stores, and you know, they help us out when we need things, and you know, they might do something that we don't do, you know.
Well, then we put on the tag, it's grandma's recipe.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Grandma says, eat your greens.
Yeah, right. So because Grandma she also made these whoopie pies that, you know, everybody, you know, oh, those are Kathy's whoopie pies, you know, and this and that. So of course I got the recipe from Graham's, you know, recipe box, still in her writing and all that. So I made them, and we started making them, and they just flew right out the door, and that's what we put right on it was, you know, Grandma says, eat your greens, you know what I mean? And her grandma's recipe, eat your greens, or something
Right.
like that. Yeah. So it was pretty cool, and those go, but we don't get to make those as much because, you know, it's a lot of time, and, you know, being the small crew that we are, we get pulled in a lot of different directions. So it'll happen that they'll get an opportunity for me to make, you know, a few dozen, you know, 40, 50 of them. They'll hang around for a little bit, so you get your limited time to snatch them up. And then when they're gone, might be a few more weeks or so, a month or two before you see them again.
See, that's a cool
deal.
idea though, because we kind of talked about that with certain strains. Like, I almost think it's better if they're not available all the time.
Yeah.
Like, if it's there all the time, then it loses
absolutely.
loses that mystique almost.
Gives them
like,
something to look forward
oh
to.
shit, that's back.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm going today.
Gives them
Yeah,
something
yeah,
to look
yeah.
forward to. You
We've
know.
done that by accident a few times.
Many times.
So we did a little kitchen stuff, and then, you know, we just kind of grew because it started to keep us busy.
Right.
You know, it started to really intrigue us because you can, you know, you got your storefront, and there wasn't any place to get edibles, and so we had to do it ourselves. Get the kitchen license. license. We were good.
Yeah.
And then it gave us something to intrigue and kind of keep us rolling, because now the cultivation's going a little bit. That's producing a little flower. We're, giving us our problems like all things, run into the wrong strains or the wrong nutrient line, or it just doesn't fit together in the same room. They require different nut schedules and things.
You listen to what some guy says at the grocery store and you try it. And
it doesn't fucking work. Right? You know what I mean? It's like, dude, this will make your shit pop. You need to make it die.
Yeah, you killed like.
Meanwhile, it's some dude that's never grown before.
That's
he just
right.
reads
That's
it
right.
off a thread.
That's right. Yeah. The old guys that used to talk about, dude, I blow my cigarette smoke on it.
Yeah. Oh no,
they love it.
This one guy told me he put his cigarette butts in the top of the plant.
Yeah.
What
Just
the
like
fuck?
no fucking way. Well, that's the old times. They used to think that smoking around them, they liked it because of like they get it wrong though, because it's carbon monoxide. It's carbon dioxide that they like, not monoxide.
Plus, like, aren't tobacco and cannabis like they don't like each other when they're growing?
Right, like
Sounds like a
mosaic
great
disease. Like on the leaves and stuff from tobacco. It's tobacco's disease.
Yeah, what's it called? Mosaic?
Yeah.
Just like the residue, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
just
on your fingers and all of it.
Guys that chew too.
That's right.
Know?
Yeah.
I just, no way, not allowed.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, that just kind of led into some more fun stuff. And then, so we went to the guy that was super creative with chocolate, because this was
With
Tom's guy.
TruBlooms, right?
Yeah, this is Tom's guy.
So basically, we needed something to compete with that black bar market. You probably heard of the Wonka bar.
Oh yeah, Southern Maine, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
that was the first thing that in the edible industry that really, in Maine.
Right, and they were kind of passing around. So
I basically told my guy that helped me with the TruBlooms stuff. I was like, look, we need something to like compete with this Wonka bar.
Yeah.
But I want it to be original. I want it to be something of ours. Like it needs to be branded, And so I gave him the day or two, I think, not even, and he hit me back and he's like, I think I got it. And I'm like, what? What do you got? He's like, my wife said it. I can't even take credit. He's like, my wife said it. Chocolate. And I'm like, yeah, like it's like chocolate, but it's like chocolate. And he's like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude,
play on words.
genius.
That's perfect.
It's genius.
So simple.
And then so we kind of worked with like the whole thing, like the oozing, like that was my idea. Like I wanted to be oozing like the rosin. I literally sent him a picture of rosin oozing out of a thing, and I was like, put this on my bar. I want it on the back side,
Yep.
I was like, I want chocolate to pop. I want it to have depth. I want it to be like 3D-ish. So we put all those like glowing parts on it.
Yeah, it draws your eyes into it.
Yeah,
big time.
absolutely. You can see how it just kind of.
And so chocolate kind of became our.
Well, it's not like it's too much, but it's
our edible brand ambassador,
Pops.
basically.
Right. And it's just enough to have fun with, right? It's not. Some people might suggest it's kind of wreckish, but at the same time, it's fun for what we're doing. It's not plain Jane. It's just fun.
It's a little ahead of its game too, right? Because medical,
that's right. Yeah.
Right? And Eric, when we were actually thinking about a bar, we went through 100 different decisions on what we would want on the front of this thing, and he's always been about that medical feel. Like that's why it's wellness, right? Because and it's why it's blue and green, because like that's the colors of medical things, hospitals, doctors' offices, and but for me it was like I needed something fun. Like I'm creative. Like I wanted to be something fun and entertaining and something that people could kind of like put a smile on their face when they just say it.
Yeah.
Oh, and so
I'm about to get fucked up.
So then and then he was like, yeah. So now I guess it's above its time. So like this is not a medical bar. This is a rec bar, really.
Right.
But it can be used medicinally because it's 12 pieces and it can last you 12 days.
When you have it dosed out.
Right. Well, and so that was what was important about it, was because when we put it into the mold, any of the extracts that went in, and that's the difficult part into the medical game in the beginning was people like, no, I used to eat those brownies my uncle gave me, or whatever. They don't want to touch these. And I'm like, no, you don't understand.
That story.
Like we've done the product, we've got the extracts, we had it lab tested, so I know what the numbers are, and then we're going to do our math, right? Put it back together. And it should be the same. And so then we got it back tested. And then when we got it back tested, when we get it done, it's always, they create a national average that was it's a Colorado national average, right? It's not like you probably find on Wikipedia or something.
Yeah. It's
10%, right? It's 10% standard deviation of whatever you said that it was.
Right.
But ours was like 3 and 4%. And it was like, well, that's phenomenal. So it's not that it was hard work for me. I had to make sure to go back and tell the guys that did the extracts, great job.
Right.
Because not only did you do your job right, you took the right sample, and then you got it done. The lab did their job, right?
Yeah.
But they took the right sample because, when you're doing distillate, or anything like that, or even RSO, you got to get this stuff, got to get back to a temp that you can move it and get it moving around because they'll solidify. Cannabinoids will solidify at different levels, and so you can't just scoop off the top every time. You got to heat this thing back up. It's a process daily to make sure that you're getting the proper dose every time. So that's when we could go like that by saying, we can have some fun with it, put a nice little, a nice fun vibe onto it, but still be able to say that when you take the pieces off, you just know that you're within reason. We're pretty much what we say that it should be. Whereas Uncle Bob's freaking, I put 4 pounds of trim and 4 sticks of butter and
try a third one.
Don't eat the whole thing, whatever you do.
But it even happened in Colorado at Rare Dagnus' store to me.
Oh, no joke?
Oh yeah.
What happened?
This
Tell
was
us.
legit.
It said it was 5 milligrams, so I was like, I'll just eat one, whatever, no big deal. Dude,
there's no way.
Crushed
it. It was probably 75.
Oh shit.
That's a big fucking.
Maybe 50.
I mean, unless it was altitude, but
we were at like 4,000 feet, which I'm not
to
used
that
to.
crazy missed dose,
but
still 5 to 75.
It was like lightheaded, sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
We had a meeting set up in the afternoon to go talk to the Blue Mat guys.
Okay.
I was like, we can't fucking go. I can't go. I was white pale as a ghost.
It was like that.
I was like, I can't go.
Wow.
So we went to Top Golf for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I just
swung
that shit out.
I just need to hang out.
And the next day, I told the guy, I said, I'm sorry I couldn't come, but dude, I was fucked up. Like I would have just. I would have not retained it.
It would have been a waste of time.
Silly. It wouldn't have been.
It would have been a waste of time.
And I would have been freaked out because when we did go to his house the next day, he doesn't just love weed. Like his house is full of just plants, exotic plants.
Wow.
He was running the blue mats in his house.
Oh wow! Holy smoke! How about that?
Thousands of dollars of exotic plants
That's
all through his house.
awesome.
I was like, okay, this guy's the real deal.
Yeah. You can enjoy it a little bit like that.
It was like,
wow. So we kind of wanted to avoid that experience,
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been there.
Yeah.
Whether it's by accident or on purpose.
That's right.
It's horrible.
So it is horrible. And so here's a funny story that happened to Tom. It kind of like but it was funny because in this case he didn't lose his shit completely. But so I was at the dental office, and so of course I'm not smoking or anything at all during the day. And then I left the office and I come to stop by because I still work at some offices where. I stopped by the store and Tom's like doing this big mural, painting this thing out, and he looks back and he's just like pinned right up, and I'm like, dude, what's up with you, buddy? And he's like, so how many milligrams are in those no bakes anyway?
He made a whole fresh batch no bakes. So it's like my weakness. Like, no way I'm gonna eat a piece of a cookie. He had to have made this good enough for me to just eat the whole thing.
Yeah. But they were kind of a special order.
I'm gonna assume it.
They were special order.
They were special order big dogs. They were 75 milligrams, and I'm like, dude,
how many do you have?
He ate the whole thing. So he was.
It was probably more like 80 or 100.
As long as my math was right, I was pretty much where I should have been. But then I thought to myself, you know what? I was fresh off, the boat that afternoon. I said, well, I guess you're there. I got to see where you're at. So I grabbed one and I slammed one down. And no joke, 20 minutes into it, it's at the end of the workday. It was like 5:50, right? We're closing up. Yeah. And it's like 20 minutes later. And it's almost like I just ate a bag of mushrooms or something. You know what I mean? Because your body buzz is all over. And I'm like, whoa, yeah. How about that mural?
I knew I couldn't
We're all closed up.
I knew I couldn't go home. So I just stayed there till midnight and I finished that bitch.
You couldn't go home.
Couldn't go home. I wouldn't know what to function with the kids and everything.
I probably held it together a little bit better, but essentially I knew exactly what he was going through. Because
I need to know.
Yeah. I couldn't leave him out there, right? I'm like, all right, dude, let's see where you're at.
I've been contemplating this mural since we had opened, and we'd been open a couple months at this point. And I have these 2 big barn doors that I built by hand, and I left it a blank canvas on the store side, and I wanted someone to come in with like a paint, tag it.
Graffiti.
That's the way I pictured it. It was a graffiti thing, right? So
something organic.
I buy all the spray paint.
Come in off the street, just pop.
And I'm thinking I'm gonna tag this thing. I've never tagged anything in my life, dude. But I'm thinking I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna come through with it, right? And I hit it once, and I'm like, that's not really detailed enough to look like anything, So I paint over that black, and I'm like, shit, what am I gonna do? So I take a pencil and a piece of string, and I just start making a circle because I made that logo, you know, and I just started just making the circles and then bring the string out a little bit, make another circle, and then do like the half circle for the leaf, and then freehand the inside. And then I took a book off the shelf and I made the cross with a book like 4 ways and just turned it and traced it. Right? And then the same thing with the bee. I freehand the circle up and around, and I just stayed there until it was done.
Turned out pretty good.
I did it in blacklight paint, and I did a time-lapse video of me doing it, dude.
That's sweet.
It was real sick.
Turned out pretty good.
It was really sick.
Awesome. Yeah. So at this point, when we need something creative, we just feed them no bakes.
That makes
Put them in
sense.
a room.
Yeah, pile of no bakes, a fucking cup of milk, and
Which
don't
gave us-
come out until the project's done.
Which we have a stack of right now at TruBlooms, and on Saturday they are buy one get one free. Thank you.
Damn. That's a good radio voice.
So that was the big deal. You know, we work with the labs, get them back tested, you know, and just kind of built it up and just listen to what the patients try to say. Right now, we do make some products that honestly, like, you know, Tom was saying, they can feel a little bit more, which is why we do that dark. I mean, dark chocolate in itself is medicinal, right? And then you get to throw in the full spectrum, you know, and it's RSO that we make. You know, we use 190 grain alcohol, and then, you know, when we get it tested, so we know where we're at with the stuff.
Yep.
And then so we know we got a really great bar. And then you can have a little bit more fun because these are made with distillate, you know, and there's candy on it, but not a lot, you know, so we try to, you know, just be cautious of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And we make other things, you know, that you would expect that your first time people would kind of make your gummies and your thises and that's. But I think as we develop, we've talked about kind of thinking a little bit more outside the box, you know, where it's a little more healthier, right? I mean, just turned 40 years old, you know, I'm not getting any younger, but I was joking with a fella earlier that works with another awesome company here, and I told him, I said, we want to make a bar that's, you know, you got some great stuff like, you know, the Kind bars, not the cannabis bars, but the Kind bars, and like Cliff bars. You know, a lot of dates and almonds and some really good stuff. Throw maybe a little honey or molasses or something, and you got to kick up your sugars a little bit. But you can do something that's so much more healthier, done with a great full spectrum product. I said, and really you can tag this thing. I said, it's almost like fucking Benjamin Button. You actually get younger eating this product. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to eat these things all the time because you're gonna feel so damn good.
Yeah, man. I gotta take notes on this because this is I think younger bar. Okay.
Oh, it's the button bar.
Yeah, the button.
The button bar.
It's the button bar. Like, you know what I mean? Getting younger as I eat these things.
Sounds like a collab.
But then you sober up and realize.
Yeah, you're like,
oh, another day gone.
yeah.
So the dark one is RSO, and then
That's
the
correct.
regular one's distillate.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And now originally, you know, also with the squish, because we want to give like, you know, we wanted to go with some rosin. We wanted to try to get into that level, but the truth is that like all growers, you find yourself in a position, what can I do with this product and how can it work best for me?
Right.
And then how is the market working good for our business, right? Like, do I need to make rosin press or could I buy it? You know, it still goes with a great chocolate streak. You know, it looks like good melty chocolate, but originally we wanted to do rosin press with these things.
Right.
And since, you know, we bought a couple of rosin presses, they weren't really great. We tried our techniques, ruined a bunch of fucking
hard.
Ruined it.
It's
Well, that's
hard.
half the reason we went to Colorado.
Yeah, that's why I
Check
went.
out a
Learn
press.
that shit, right? And so there are guys that are doing it phenomenally right now that we thought, well, you know what, if we could just get with those caregivers and get some of their products, it's still hard to find at a bulk rate, you know, for that sort of things, unless you're making it yourself.
It's so expensive.
It's just expensive. And so what we decided is, well, we can still keep with a good full spectrum product. We were working with Blue Sky Lab at one point, and they were getting us some awesome decarbed Cannah tonic, which was a nice 1-to-1 ratio. And so that was really awesome. And that's kind of cool again.
Strain specific bars.
Strain specific, you know, keep the terpenes in it. Still want, again, we're, you know, medical at base, you know, that's why we're all doing the things that we're doing. We want to make money, of course, right? I mean, we gotta feed ourselves, but we want to think about that kind of stuff as well, right? We're getting older, and so we gotta be conscious.
Well, especially
of
with
that
this whole situation going on right now.
Yeah.
Health is
it's a
on
big deal.
everyone's
right.
minds.
It certainly is. So we're kind of, you know, as the market still develops, like all business plans, we're 3 years into ours. It's not even the same way it was the day we started. You know, like the things we thought we were going to do, the way we thought we would behave, it's different. You know, it's all great, but it's different. And so we've had to rework it, and now it's just best to get with other guys. We actually, this harvest that we just had, we've got a bunch of trim, great looking stuff that we thought, well, let's get this stuff pressed. So we reached out to a couple of local guys, and I don't know if you guys are pressing, then looks like you got a job to do. But I didn't know if I knew that or not.
No.
But we reached out to a couple other guys that do press at a local that are great pressers, and they're like, yeah, we'll absolutely do it. And so that gives us an opportunity to say, well, if the market works out so that, if we can work with some solventless product, that'd be really nice.
And then we could go back to that strain specific.
Right,
Too.
And be that
and
one-off
in-house,
that you were talking about. Because we had that blueberry bar idea, where we could, if we was to use, the chocolate by itself, get a blueberry strain extracted, whether it was done with, keef or even if it was, hydrocarbon, but it's, nice and cleaned out and decarbed properly, or a solventless, rosin. There's a few different ways you can go with it, but it helps keep that full spectrum to the plant.
This happens a lot. I get ideas and I have to say them out loud or I forget them.
Go.
So, recently they've been saying like medical was like the third highest main
business
like money maker
right next to
revenue producers.
Blueberries and lobster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, a blueberry bar, why not?
You combine the two?
How about a lobster bar?
Oh man! Oh shit! You could have kept that one to yourself.
I don't like lobster.
Actually,
I'm not a big seafood guy.
But
honestly,
this is what we did have though for an idea because
lobster.
a guy did come up with a good idea about a candy piece though, only for like the tourist market, and that would have been on the adult. Was that he was talking like when you're down on Route 1 and you want to have a business. Some of the best businesses that ever existed, the name of their company looked nothing like what they did. Like Apple, for instance, right? They're not fruit. They don't even sell freaking produce.
Yeah.
But they make great stuff.
Yeah.
So in this case, he had come up with, and I guess at this point, anybody could potentially try to take it if they wanted to, but it was the green lobster. But the green lobster, you know how when you stop up and down Route 1 and you find all the candy lobsters and stuff that you find? Well, just pour them out as green lobsters, but since we can't make them into animal shapes, well, there goes that fucking idea.
You can't?
Well, right, because your candies can't be like, you couldn't do the animal shapes or have animals or humans, on the packaging,
Okay.
And so the idea behind this was, well, like, that kind of shoots that right now. Not unless something changed, but
Why can't you have it?
well, because it looks appealing to the kids.
That's what I was going to say, kids.
Was my
To eat a fucking human?
yeah.
Are you kidding me?
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, eat an animal?
Right, like
I mean,
yeah,
sure.
I need
You're gonna pour out a steak.
Yeah, right.
A lobster,
I've always wanted to eat fucking Jimmy's legs
Yeah,
off.
that's right. Yeah.
That's so weird. Some of the rules are so weird.
It is.
Well, like you
It
said,
makes
they
sense.
didn't
They
know
just
what
don't
they
know.
were doing.
Right. Yeah.
They just don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of ignorant because it's a pretty fun idea that maintenance could take advantage of. And you could just pour out a bunch of green lobsters. And
I didn't know you. I have no idea about the edible rules.
Yeah, I mean I know it has a lot to do with the packaging for sure, and I'm under the impression
why
that the
everything's
shape
square.
of these things,
round.
had to be,
Really?
that you can't be a gummy bear.
Yeah, it can't be
right?
a bear.
No
That
gummy
makes
bears.
sense, yeah.
So what do you
It's
have to
gonna be
call
just a
them?
boring.
So
fucking-
that's why you had to come up with something, right? And most
You
of
have to call them something. Just like
They're-
gummy square.
Yeah, that's right.
We call them Skittle Melts.
Yeah, because they're very melty.
What a
right?
pain in the ass.
Yeah, I know it.
How do you explain that customer? What the fuck's a Skittle melt?
That's honest to God truth.
Well, it's a
That's
gummy
kind of what
bear.
happens, right? It's
Yeah.
they're gummies.
Why do you call it a gummy bear? Well,
Because they can't make a fucking
rules. Okay, we didn't make.
Yeah. Yeah,
it will change, I think.
You know damn well it will.
Yeah.
Especially as the future goes on, other people come to town.
Well, apparently they said that the AG decides what's a good rule and what's a bad
Does he
rule.
want one? I can get another one.
I don't know if you guys
You want to know?
keep up with
Yes.
the politics. Good.
Good.
The politics like right now, like with how wellness or whatever they were
I've heard
threatening
a
to
little
sue
bit.
the state, and
Yeah,
the state said, "Oh well, we won't enforce those residency laws." Most recently, basically like the small caregiver said you have to enforce those laws. So now, apparently on Monday, the AG stood side by side with lobbyists and basically were trying to tell the court we don't want to enforce the residency laws.
Right.
So
Picking and choosing.
picking and choosing what they like of
What
the
they
law,
like
just
to
like
enforce
big
and not
money.
enforce.
the human on a package or an animal as an edible.
And because
Can they choose not to enforce that too?
right.
Of course.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
Those
essentially,
few
with that
people
same
decide.
situation that happened with us, they, like I said, it was set in the rules that you couldn't violate federal trademark law I didn't violate any federal trademark law, but he literally said to me though, yeah, but it's just the way that we wanted it to be. You know, that was our intention with it. And I'm not going to get into an argument with these guys. You know what I mean?
No, you can't.
It's just
it's not going to go anywhere.
It's not going to go anywhere. You know, and they offer that up. They tell you could quite frankly talk to your lawyer about it or do whatever you want. And I'm like, I'm not going to go.
Yeah, you want to go through that process?
To just at the end of the day to have a lobbyist change it, and then I lost all that money anyway.
Well, the thing is you, me, Corey, we don't have the time to sit with a lawyer and try to get some bullshit.
Yeah, right.
Like, one little piece of
you want
it.
an edible? Okay,
Right,
I'll make it into
right,
something else. I'll make it into
If I was
something.
Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and it was going to cost me millions of dollars.
Well, this whole thing's been about adapting.
Yeah,
So,
100%. Yeah.
I think that part, we can figure that shit out.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
figured all the other hard shit out.
Yeah. We definitely had to accept a lot of things that we weren't, happy with, things that we didn't want to do. But I think that as most of us, get the opportunity to stay within our lanes, we've all chatted with guys, that are with the law enforcement industry and the DEA, and their temperature, as far as I'm concerned, is you can't be slobs, right? You can't be pigs. I mean, literally, a friend of mine who is with the DEA had said to me, if you act like a pig, you're gonna get slaughtered like a pig, and that's the verbiage that essentially that we're don't be a pig, right?
Right.
Like feed everybody else, donate, give away, share,
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
It works.
Don't put it in anyone's face. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants anything in their face.
Nobody wants it in their face.
Anything though.
Well, anything in general, right?
Yeah.
You see how this with social media, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there was a whole complex with the globe by people watching Facebook, and you'd see, the neighbors doing this and that, and people literally get depressed and pissed off and angry at them because you're showing off your vacation time and what you bought new. When these people over here, like, I don't want to see your shit,
Right.
they just don't want to see it, and so
Right.
people get that way for sure.
Yeah, they definitely do. And like what I was gonna say about wellness is like try to keep up on it the best I can, but so many people in the industry just spin it to always be doom and gloom. Where I'm like, I don't really get the pulse from whatever the people are saying. As I just go read the article and I'm like, well, let's see, is it a big deal? Is it not? And at the end of the day, if Maine people are still buying shit from wellness, that's our fault.
Yeah, 100%.
That's not my fault. That's your fault.
Yeah.
I mean, they shouldn't be. They should be. I mean, the people always talk with their money, and they're hurting.
Yeah.
They're hurting. That's why they're trying to change.
Don't
these
be
fucking
confused.
rules. If it was 3 years ago, they wouldn't care what we were doing because they're raking in 50,000 customers a week.
Yeah, doing
now they're feeling it and they're trying to change shit, which is bullshit.
Right.
If you're gonna sink, then just go down swinging like a man.
Yeah, that's correct. And it's because it's. Mainers, we're a whole different breed. What do we got? A little over 1 million people in this huge state. I mean, people are pretty protective of the things that we have to work for. Yeah. And that most of us, at one time or another, definitely went to jail over this. I mean, I did, and my folks did. It's happened. I've seen my house raided twice over cannabis,
Right.
And so this was kind of a big deal. And then you get somebody else that doesn't even use the product or really even believe in it for that matter. They just make money, to try to step in when they just, we're making our living, and it's keeping the people happy, and it's and because we donate and we're generous, it helps.
Well, it goes back to what I said about like no one store is going to dominate.
It can't, right? It just can't.
But wellness wants to.
But it comes in that position where there's just too much money there.
And that goes against the main type.
I don't have $25 million in lawyer retainers to set up against those guys.
A lot of these big companies don't know what Maine people want. And they can't accept that. They can't accept that. They don't want a different employee serving them every week. They don't want the McDonald's feeling. You're going to spend, no matter what, even if you have cheap weed, it's expensive.
It is.
No matter what,
that's right.
They don't want to be treated like a robot.
Correct.
Because everywhere else, they're treated like that.
Yeah, these people that we see in here that, are, a bit off, right, color, so to speak, like, maybe, dental care wasn't the best for them, right? But I'm not going to judge them for that, right? Maybe, just the household they grew up in or the neighborhood that they live in. Nobody judges each other because that's our family, our friends. Yeah. These people that we've known our whole life, we're so closely, connected with most people in our communities. Yeah. You can't shit on those people. No. Those people make their hard-earned money. They get paid on Friday and they spend their money with you.
Right.
They're helping you feed your family. Yeah. So you got to treat these guys right,
We thank them every day for coming in. Like, we
Regular.
appreciate you.
And
That's
people
like the last thing we
remember
say
those
to
little
them.
Yeah.
things.
I mean,
Yeah.
literally, I had a patient come through yesterday or the day before, had never been anywhere but the Wellness Connection.
Yeah.
He literally thought before the other day that he couldn't go anywhere because they had his card.
Yeah.
His card.
A lot of people think
Which
that.
was
A
the
lot of
old
people
card
ask me
because
that.
his new card was just fine. He had his
Right.
certification.
Yeah.
Right.
And he didn't have it on him at the moment, so I said, go get it. If it's at home, go get it. Come back and see me. I'm going to treat you right. I'm going to treat you good. And he came back and he's like, this is the best decision I ever have made. Like, this is the best decision ever.
Yeah.
And I hooked him up with some killer flour, and he was pumped. He's like, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. And he,
And he ain't never
was
going
that
back.
a rule for a little while that you had to
It
declare
is, it
your
was.
card?
Yeah, and
to
they
a
gave
certain-
you your
Yeah.
own card.
Yeah.
That was like a blue pin
like
or
a
whatever.
certification card, and then they'd have a designation card next to it. And
Yeah.
so we'd have patients when they first came in, when we first opened, you'd have to fill out a form, sign over that designation card. At least I'd hold on to it. For the time you were in the building, I'd hold on to that thing, right, on a clipboard with the chart, and then we'd go take care of whatever. And then when you'd leave, I'd give it back. And then you had to write on the back of the, whatever they bought, because you got to keep track. And then they'd leave. And then the next person that would come in would do the same exact thing. Now, if that patient came back later that day, he had to do the fucking paperwork over again.
yeah.
All that paper
But
we had
then
to go through.
But then you had to
Guys would get
assign
pissed.
plants to people too.
So then you had to go put their
Yes.
names on it. So what had to happen was,
You had 4 and then a
you had to
rotating.
have, right, you had to revolve that 5,
Yeah.
but they were a bit lenient because it's like, what am I going to go? I can't get in there every single time I designate that plant. So that's set
This is
6.
a
I gotta,
loophole.
So they were a bit lenient with that one because they knew that those 6 were going to rotate. So there was a bit give or take there, but it definitely wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
And people I just wish they'd realize, like, part of the reason for this is to see into some of these businesses and see, where do I spend my fucking money? Because
Right.
some people are spending their money with some bad people, and what I mean by bad is just people that don't know the business.
Right.
You know what I mean? They just don't know.
Don't know and don't care.
Yeah,
Right,
they just
right.
it's just a money thing. If it's just going to be a money thing, well, let's figure out who those people are.
Right.
And if
Yeah.
you want to spend your money there, good for you. But
Yeah,
if
that's
not,
right.
if you want to see freaking, you guys sponsor a high school team or,
That's right. Yeah.
whatever we're doing or whatever Bobby's doing, then you need to spend your money there
Yeah,
because
100%.
these people are going to give back.
100%.
Yeah, I call it getting up on my soapbox. Like, if I get the right strain in the morning, like I get really like, I'm gonna teach people today. You know what I mean? And so people coming through, and I'll tell Eric, I'm like, I was up on my soapbox all day today, and I'll literally educate people. This is what's going on right now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need to understand your certification means everything right now.
Right.
So the
If you
program
for
in
you
general.
saying you're wait the question of the week or the month
It's
of
gonna
the
go Rick
year.
anyway.
No, it's when's recreational gonna be here?
Yeah.
When can I just go into any store and just buy it?
Well,
You'll actually never be able to do that here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So continue to get that certification.
Yeah.
Or if that is your mindset, then all these other little stores that you like hitting up are going to be deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%. I mean, and we definitely let them know right away. That $30 eighth that you're purchasing is going to cost you closer to $60. Let's just get that correct, because the farmers that are growing it, on the supply and demand side, are not going to drop their prices, especially when there's all that $350 a pound excise tax and these municipal taxes and things that are going to come along with that. That doesn't get any cheaper. I mean, the prices we hear these numbers, people getting 26, 28, 3,000. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that growers are worth a lot of money, right? But when it comes down to the end of the day, what's the max that we can charge the patients and still feel good, right?
Exactly.
So we got to find that comfort zone, which is why it's obviously nice to vertically integrate. But in those positions where we can give the grower the money that they want to get, but $3,000 a pound, at that point, how do you sell that to the patients and provide the medicine? You're making them choose between the food or the medicine because, you said it's expensive already, and it's already 30, 35 an eighth, because I think good products, we get 35 for one or two of our strains, and we feel comfortable with that because it's worth that, but 45, 55, that's where that would be. If
48
stores
in Colorado is what we paid for the best eighth that we got.
I mean, we were paying out the nose.
We smoked maybe
Okay. That's good to know.
a small portion of what we bought.
It was like average 20 a gram.
Yeah,
It was
it's ridiculous.
Now, do they still have a medical program in Colorado?
They do.
They do.
They
yeah.
do, but
So
there
is
was
that-
a separate spot.
Is that
So
like a discount card? like a Sam's Club card. That's kind of why I want to get.
Well, you had to
kind of.
We weren't
I guess
allowed.
you
We couldn't
could
go
say
in there
that.
because we didn't have our obviously.
I was gonna say we didn't
Right.
have the card, but so kind of they were getting better shit at a little bit cheaper price. So it kind of was.
Right. Well, and that's kind of how we explain it to our patients is that when you wait for rec to get here, you're gonna pay just that much more.
Right, you can have fun and go check out that store.
You get over, go down,
out.
see Travis's mom, get your med card, right, and then come back, see us.
Especially
right?
with how reasonably priced.
It's inexpensive. We just actually had a patient come right back because what I did is
Not
I
much
had a
more than
short
a
stack of
single
cards. I only had maybe like 10 or 11
Exactly.
cards, so I just wrote
They
my
don't get
name
to
on it,
that.
What are you
autographed
paying
it,
for that
and I just told the patients take it down there and then bring it back, and then we'll just take. And I had a guy come right back in the other day. He had renewed his cert card down there, and it was awesome, and it worked out great for him, and for the store.
And there's not a lot of people around doing that. Walk in, get your card thing.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
You know, so it's good.
That's
I mean, and where they're not the busiest right now because they're just starting up.
They're
it's,
just
it's
starting.
good.
Yeah.
Is there a price?
$75.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
but what I did, I don't know if you saw the post that I had done.
I did see it.
Yeah, so
and then people could come in
Yeah,
and I've
yeah.
explained it to them and
Yeah,
I've handed out a good 5-6 cards already.
yeah.
in the last
So then
couple
just bring
days.
it back, and essentially, like for all those renewals, we don't mind doing that all the time.
So with you guys, is it 25?
Yeah, yeah.
And then same with if Bobby at Hive refers them, he gives them 25 as well.
Yeah, so it's perfect.
Yeah,
They're getting
so,
$25 of their money back.
so it's $50 for your med card for the year.
That's
Perfect.
it. That's it. It's cheap. It's
So
cheap
easy.
at that point. Because
Yeah,
that's
really.
how it worked out. The patient
Awesome.
came right back because, like I said, I kind of signed the card. That way, it helps everybody just track,
Yeah.
like who's making, where it's coming from, and then, and then the practitioner kind of knows,
Yeah.
too, like where things are coming from.
Yeah.
And then they can come right back. And Bobby's a generous guy.
Yeah.
He's gonna give stuff away to them too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got a great store. It's a beautiful.
And it makes it
location.
good for the people that are having a hard time trusting that transition.
That's right.
To
Yeah.
Not just
That's
kind of
right.
hit the grower up on
That's
fucking
right.
Yeah.
Friday
That's
afternoon
right.
and get an
Right.
ounce or whatever.
We got a couple of local, regular patients that come in every couple days, and they're just when they love it when we get to change up the strains. Sometimes we'll hold some stuff back, to kind of pop it. We don't put everything out right away.
Right.
And they're so excited. It's like when
Their
you see
thing.
little Charlie walking into that when he was buying, they did at the beginning of
I
Charlie.
mean, I know I'm the
Chocolate
same way
Factory and
when
all that stuff.
we haven't harvested a stream for a little while.
Yeah,
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
So
Kitty stoked. Well, we've got this awesome. So we bought some seeds a few years back. I bought some Khalifa Kush seeds right online. I don't remember which seed bank I found them on, but I'm like, dude, I'm buying these. So we bought them. We got them in. I had them in the seed bank for over a year. We just started working through some strains.
Mr. Seed Bank.
Yeah.
fuck.
So what we did recently was we thought let's get some of these girls back out. So we went through some and we popped those Khalifas, and they look amazing.
Strong.
And so super strong.
Nice.
They'll come out. We probably harvest another 4 weeks, and then a couple weeks worth of curing and trim it up and stuff, and that'll be ready to go. But it's just fun to bring out those new strains, and so the
Always
patients
fun.
are looking forward to that stuff. And,
Yeah.
And when they get it, they get really excited, and that's fun for us too because it's not mundane.
When you got to run a new stream.
Yeah.
That shit's fun.
Yeah, it is completely.
Unless
new.
it's not. Then it's
Yeah, right. Unless it's not.
Unless it's not, then
Right.
it's fucking edible time.
But goddamn.
Yeah, no. It came up super head and shoulders. It's a seed too.
Yeah.
So of course that's the way it is. But what's nice when you do it from seed, as you guys know, is you get to pull those top clones right off, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there were a time in our life where we needed the clones. We were cutting every fucking part of that plant.
Yeah.
Right?
Branch.
Low branch, big branch, high didn't matter.
Oh, we cut it right down until stop.
Right down. And just
One
like-
leaf left.
Yeah.
It'll survive.
Yeah, it'll come back.
It'll come back, yeah.
and it would, right? If fucking thing did.
Magic.
And then we just realized that we weren't getting the best consistency out of the product, that we could.
Yeah.
So now we know that we'll just pull these tops, and so I popped those. We got the strong seeds that popped out. Cut the tops off those, clone those, keep it coming the right way.
Hell yeah. So
So-
that's good.
Yeah.
One of the
That's the
most
fun part.
frequently asked questions is what do you do for first timers? What do you do for your first time in your shop?
Right.
Oh, okay.
In the store?
Yeah, and I'm just always like stumped. I'm like, shit, what do we do? Here, what do we got for deals?
Yeah.
Or just make something up. Like, listen, all right, this is what I'm gonna tell you. We just make deals all the time. So like, what do you like?
Yeah.
Do you like flour? Do you
Right.
like edibles?
Right.
Pre-rolls?
Well,
Like,
that's-
we got a killer pre-roll deal.
Yeah.
Like, come down, check it out. Guarantee we're gonna hook you up with a deal.
Yeah.
How's that for a deal? They're like, I'll be down a little
Right.
bit.
Fuck yeah.
Right. See, and it's the truth because we weigh our product. I literally had to spend $1,000 right from old Wilmot scales to get some scales and get them calibrated at Department of Ag because we weigh the product right in front of the patient, and we do chew up right. We have to eat some of the costs because we used to do a set rate and then you'd add the tax, and we're like, nah, frick that. It's tough chasing after the coins. So
Yeah.
we just chewed up the 5.5%, not a big deal. But when you weigh in the bag, it's hard to stop at 5.5 and be like, and
you
then
can
takes
never.
up the
I'm
bag.
not
You
playing
can't
that
pull
game.
a
Never gonna
bus.
happen.
Especially if you're fucking
Never
weighing it in
gonna
front of
happen.
them.
You
I'm
can't
not
take
playing
it
that
out.
game.
So these are, 3.8s, 4.1s, they're getting a good deal. 4.2s, you know what I mean? It's your buddies, they want a great deal. Like, I get you 4.5, guy.
And they're
you send them
always
out
like
the
this,
door.
looking over your shoulder, like,
And
what's he gonna
so-
give me
They're
today?
checking.
Right. And so that kind of works for our business model. And
Yeah.
we do understand that it takes a little bit longer to do, but you know what? The patients as they come in, it's a steady flow. It's a great group of people, but it's never really like out the line. If
Right.
we were in Colorado and it's down the road like that, we'd be like, all right, let's
Yeah,
figure this
we-
model out.
Yeah,
Let's model out
exactly.
because it's not really
Messed
working
up.
for you.
Which is
Because-
kind of what we felt while we were out there.
Really? Just like
it kind of turned into
blasting
that,
you
like,
through it?
yeah, run you through. We're not really gonna talk to you much. Like,
Right.
What do you want?
Yeah.
See you later.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I got that feel too out there.
Yeah.
I know
And so we-
Denver's kind of rich, but
Yeah.
the first place we went to was definitely a trap house.
Yeah.
It was a legal trap
Was-
house.
really?
There was like a little door. They opened it and they look out
Mickey
at you.
sent me. Yeah.
And I'm like, hey,
Metal steel door.
you gotta.
That's what it was. That's
Oh
exactly
yeah,
what it
you
was.
got a green cross, and then they locked us in the center room.
Yeah.
And then they let us in.
Hostile.
And-
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
Well, it was
magazines or
late.
Fucking I get out of here.
Yeah,
Shit.
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
9 o'clock at
Yeah.
night, so I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I gotta get out.
But it's like where we were staying at his left was kind of for Denver, it was shitty.
Yeah.
And to the right was like
Yeah.
nice college
Yeah, yeah,
area.
The art district.
Yeah.
It's literally where the fucking hotel was.
The funny story about Trap House is getting caught up in weed. So my beautiful wife's from El Paso, Texas. We went down one time to
Holy
visit her
shit.
family, and of course, her brother, he's knew a lot of dudes, from the area. We'll leave it at
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And so on the way down, we're like, listen, you got to set us up. We get some weed when we get down there. He's like, I'll put in the call. You'll be all right.
put
So
in the
we go
call.
over, and so he just gave us an address to go to these people's houses. So we pull up to this house.
Classic.
we pull up to this fucking house, and me and my wife go in, and we're in there, and we go in, and they're a couple younger people, not feeling too threatened until they get the money, and then they leave, and when they leave, they like lock the fucking doors, and we're like, Jesus Christ. So we're like sitting in this apartment, watching that movie Ringo, they had a little thing, and we're like
The
watching
lizard?
the little lizard,
Yeah.
watching Ringo the whole time, just thinking like, I'm telling her, like, it's taking a long time, like, we gotta get out of here.
This
This
is
is like,
fucked
this is a
up.
trap
Is it
house.
someone's
Like,
living room?
Yeah, but in these El Paso apartments, it's like the size of this fucking room. This is what it all is. So it's a efficiency, and we're like, dude, getting sketched out. We got to get out of here. And then they finally did come back, and we bounced as quick as we could because again, it's Trap City. You look at Juarez, Mexico, out the side window,
Damn.
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Get
dude,
in
we
the
gotta
car
get
and
out of
leave.
here. So we're trying to
You're
get
never
out of here as
coming
quick as we
back.
can, and it was the stuff that I hope you got. Maybe never had to experience that crap weed, but we remember the stuff where you'd bust it up and put it in a magazine and just let all the seeds roll down because it was so brick and compressed and
gonna
had those
say
black
brick.
seeds. It was terrible. Man, I don't know. We paid $35 for an ounce and it was horrible. So we had to smoke that for a few days. And honestly, we gave it away because it was just terrible. And we went up on the scenic mountain and we see this one dude and he's hanging out and he has this huge pot leaf on his shirt, chronic, and I don't speak Spanish, and I said to my wife, I'm like, that guy's got the fucking weed. Go see that guy.
This guy.
So she went right over, and sure enough, he had some good weed.
Of
He hooked
course,
us
she's
right up.
fluent Spanish,
Right,
so-
because
Yeah.
that's
Made it nice and easy.
right away. Hooked it up because these guys' connects are coming down out of Colorado, right?
Right,
And so
right,
they've
right.
got the trail that comes down Colorado. So the younger
Yeah.
crowd, this and that, but over in that trap house, dude, I was scared.
I
we gotta
bet.
get out. Gotta get the fuck
that's
out of here.
It's the shit
they've
you
been
do
sitting
for
on
what,
that,
an eighth
that
a week?
Mexicali
Yeah,
weed.
so,
They've
yeah,
been
it-
sitting on that.
We wound up actually getting some one time. It was from a friend of hers that on a different occasion when we went down.
These guys
It
aren't
was
repeat customers. We're not
Oh,
fucking
it's
doing
terrible.
shit.
We bought the weed, and I actually still had some. We were getting ready to go on the plane. I put it back out in the alleyway in between, like it's all concrete and brick and shit. I put it under a rock. I'm like, tell your friend to come back, and he can have the weed back. I don't even want it. We
He
gotta
can
go.
resell it
This is
again. This is
terrible.
fucked up.
Yeah, he can resell it, make some money on
That's
it.
like what we did with the weed we bought. We would look at it, and I was like, fuck. No.
Yeah.
No.
Set this on the street.
Just checking.
I see homeless people there the day before, and I just leave it right on that corner, and I say,
Yeah, they're like this.
yeah. Oh, like
Yeah.
we went to one place that was very well known, and we opened it up, and it was just, oh, that's mold. Look, does that look like mold to you? Yeah, that's mold.
And I was like,
And I brought it back
I was
in.
so depressed because I was like, that is mold.
I brought it back in, and I said, hey, look, I don't want to be an asshole, but I just want to let you
Well,
guys
I'm gonna be
know.
an asshole.
I want to let you know so that some guy that is an asshole
Yeah.
doesn't rip this place down. And he's like, that's not mold. And I said, okay, just take it back. I'm good.
I don't need anything else.
Right. You know, it's kind of like
you want to try something else.
That's definitely
Yeah,
bold.
I try something
Definitely
else.
mine.
It's just
Well, you had that same experience, did you, when you went there?
So when I had
the
the experience I had, and this kind of transpired back to when I came back and decided that we wanted to do deli style was, I felt rushed first, and I got this new chick first day on the job. Great to look at, no brains. I had no idea what she was talking about.
right.
So I'm a sativa guy, so I'm like, all right, hit me with your best sativa, and she's just like, hey George, which one's sativa? And I'm like, oh my god. So he comes over, now he's helping her, and he's pointing at this and that, and I'm like, yeah, I want top shelf, So she pulls down, and what she did was, and I was telling Eric, they have like 3 shelves behind them. I don't know when you guys went in what it was like, but 3 shelves behind them. They were nice jars set up, all their strains, right? Kind of like we got, except they're in smaller jars. There's maybe 12 to choose from, and I was like, yep, top shelf, best sativa, and she brings it down, and it was called Flight, and it was like purple and crystally, and like I love purple weed, like I have a thing for purple weed, so I'm like, yeah, this one's a winner, and I said, okay, bottom shelf, give me a, just whatever for an indica, and I just grab whatever. And so she puts the bud that she shows me back in the jar, turns around, puts it back on her shelf, and then walks 10, 15 feet down the way, opens this big drawer that's stuffed full of prepackaged material, and brings me over this, sealed container, 2 of them. And then I'm like, all right, well, I need a bowl, and grab that bowl, and grab that pack of papers, and I need a lighter, and so I get in the car, I can be taking care of myself. So I get out of the car, I'm all excited, and I open my bag, and I get in, and I pop the Flight right away, and I'm like, this shit's green. And it still looked good, but it was neon green and not purple at all, like no purple.
It wasn't even the same. Maybe it was.
It was. So I picked Flight, and this was like
who fucking knows?
Well,
Flight something. Like it was another cross. Like she either screwed up and gave me the wrong container or what. But I was so mad. I couldn't go back in. I popped it open. I pulled it out. Like I started,
because you're so mad that
So now I'm just pissed.
this conversation isn't going.
Yeah, and
nothing's getting solved.
And like I was already kind of quick with her because she was like too hot. You know what I mean? I was just like, I don't even want to go back in there. She got me.
Yeah, I don't want to make her cry or nothing. It's just,
so I'm like off to the next one. So we went to the next one, and it wasn't as bad, but when I came back, I was like, listen, like I don't want to pre-package anything because I don't want people to come back and say, oh, it didn't weigh, or it wasn't the same, or how come I couldn't have
Which
that
it isn't.
bud?
It's not.
It never is.
It never is.
So deli style, boom, you're weighing it in front of them, and they're literally able to see that bud that you put in, and like, oh yeah, I like that one, or oh no, I don't like the big nugs, give me the smaller one, or the more,
which is annoying as fuck, but it's nice that they
one
have
bud
that
weigh right there, and it's like 4.5. Yeah, I want that one, So.
Of course.
I think that flows. That was just better for.
It just feels better.
It feels better more, selling it.
It feels more personal.
Those
pre-packaged things.
Yeah,
it's bad and it doesn't feel personal.
Right.
I'm just a transaction.
Right.
Oh, thanks.
Right.
Yep.
So it just kind of.
How long's that been sitting back there?
Exactly.
And
that's my first question.
So I did that one time too. We had when we first opened, we had a little party, right? Yeah. And we sat down and prepackaged like 2 pounds worth of shit, right? And I'm telling you, we didn't fucking go.
We thought we were going to kill it.
Well, because of the time, so it's funny because it was the first 420 that we were open. Greenfellas came over and supported us that day, and they brought a bunch of fucking dank weed, and they were just, and so it's like, all right, well, and we set up this big purple jar, like Tom said, big purple jar in the center, and then a bunch of other stuff that we had, which was a lot of our stuff, which was still really nice. They just saw that jar purple, so they kept plowing through it. Well, what happened was all this prepackaged shit didn't get sold. So then I'm holding on to it, right, for the next week or two. And as you get going through it...
Yeah, and what are you going to do? Bust the packages open?
Right, you know what I mean? So you just got to keep going. And I had too many times... I put the package down, and you can just tell, right, when you look in someone's eye. You can tell. And you put it down, and they're like...
They're doing,
and I'm like, it weighs. It weighs.
Do that.
You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, well, let me see it. And you crack it open, you dump it, and it's still, and it's 3.7. You're like, I fucking weighed it myself, but I'll do it. It's just that look. It's just that feel. Like, if I could just weigh it first and then put it in the jar or the bag, I'll feel better about it, and then you're better about it, and there's no question about it.
Totally.
And it's, don't get me wrong, it's not that we want to beat up on any of our brothers or sisters that are out there doing prepackaged weed.
Right.
If it works for their business model, or maybe they're selling it fast enough of that particular strain,
that's
and it
the
works,
key.
then that's okay as well.
Yeah,
right. I think just for us, for our business model and the way it works for us, it's just...
Well, there's certain situations like a day like that prepackage a bunch because
it makes sense.
If the flow's high, I'm not gonna have time to
do it all
weigh
day
it out for
That's right.
everybody.
That's
But-
right.
Especially if it's the night before or the morning of, you know?
Yeah.
If you open at 10 and you prepackage before. Like,
But
it's
there's still,
probably
as the
the
customer,
Yeah.
like, I get what you're saying. You go in,
They just kind of
how
want to
long
see
has
it.
this been fucking prepackaged?
Yeah.
I have no clue.
Right. And so just it's
It
one
has
of
to
those
work.
things.
And then we actually bought from other caregivers prepackaged stuff by the pound, like prepackaged up in 8s and quarters.
Yeah.
And we would set that prepackaged stuff up with our deli style stuff, and they would just overlook it.
They never look at
You
it.
can have
was
it in
actually-
the nicest
And it
packaging
was the
of
best
all
meat on the
time.
bar.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And it was the best meat on the bar, but they overlooked it.
Yeah.
To the point where we sold out of everything else, and now all we got left is this, and it's in jars. We need to dump it out.
And it's
Put it in a
literally
jar.
Yeah.
some of the best that we've all seen, some friends that we all actually have,
Yeah.
that does a great job. And it's hard to get his stuff. And when we finally had it and we were like, well, let's do this. So then we literally had to open every fucking jar, dump it into the big container, and the second we did that, I could then put it back into his jar
And then sell it again.
Yeah, because it was the only way they wanted to see it.
Yeah.
So it just kind of worked that way.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
It's the way people are, I think.
Yeah. So
Everybody likes it a little different.
Yeah, and like I said, we get regular patients along the way, lots of new patients that come in and go in, and that's because of just putting medical cannabis out on the side of the road,
Just checking it out.
That they were like, all right, here you go, and that's right, just checking it out. We like that statement because we'll say that when you're done here, check out these guys, go check everybody else out because they've all got great product too.
Right.
You're never going to get disappointed at pretty much as from what I can figure out, most of these people, they're going to have something nice.
Yeah.
You got to enjoy your visit. It's because
and as weed smokers yourselves, like, I don't want to just smoke my strains all the time. I want to smoke something else.
Yeah,
I want
100%.
I want there to be other good weed out there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we any chance I get when I go into a store, even if I'm just making like delivery or something, some chocolate bars or whatever, before I leave, I'm like, all right, I need a couple slices. Give me something. And I typically ask the caregiver, the store owner, like, no, I want your stuff.
Right.
Even if it's in some cases I do want the best, but even if it's not the best and it's theirs, because I want to support them,
right.
The hard work that they put into growing that product.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I'll pay you whatever you want for it. I want to make sure you get paid because we all know what it feels like to put that product in and go, all right, well, I hope this goes well.
Right.
And it had to go well, and every once in a while, even the store owners, and we've been in that position, the store owners are like, dude, my shit didn't turn out that good this time.
Right.
Like, trust me, you want, this guy's or that guy's. I'm like, I'll take that, but I still want some of yours.
Right.
I want you to get paid.
That's awesome.
And so that works.
Yeah.
That works for us.
That's a cool dynamic, though, too, because, like, the whole figuring out the grow side, each strain, but also having to figure out the store side.
Yeah.
It's just a completely different set of problems.
Oh my goodness! I mean, and it's so we get in that conversations too lately that we've had. Again, it just every once in a while, it's always about the pricing and things like that. And we think we're very fair priced, just like everybody else. And sometimes it might be difficult to know, just how much it goes into these sort of things. And we know that, you're spending $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 a month just for your store, for your grow, for your power, for your nutrients. And then you got to pay the guys to do it, right?
Yes.
So where's your profit coming in? It's on the bottom end. It's no longer a game where you're making 60 to 80% profit. It doesn't work like that anymore.
No.
This game has literally fallen in line with the rest of the business model America works, is you get 20, 30% if you're really good.
Well, and that's why I think it's so brutal the way that I get they don't know much when it comes to making the rules, but like you're making rules to where it's almost impossible to make a profit.
Right. So now you chop it in. What am I, less than 20%? I mean, you could literally sell,
just a simple no green cross. Let me put a fucking green cross.
That's right.
So people know what my store is.
Yeah. And they finally, it did work, and we put some up, but even still, they drove on by.
Yeah.
Just go on by.
Well, Maine, it's like it's a really good mix of older people who aren't using the internet, who aren't.
That's right.
Kind of tapped in that way.
That's right.
They're kind of tapped into the old. I get my news from the newspaper.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
In the 6 o'clock news, maybe.
Right.
And then you have the younger generation, which figures it out in half a week.
Yeah.
So it's kind of.
Well, and something that you had said there was that the tough part is you got these 60-year-olds that are hearing stuff on the news. It ruins the game. The other morning I heard it on the Today Show.
Because if they put their spin on it.
That's right. THC could cause cardiovascular things because increased heart rates and things like that. And they just
which is true, but like tell the whole story.
Give them the whole story. Let's talk about the products.
Highlight could. That's all you need to do.
Could
highlight. We can say that about everything.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
honestly, if you've had a lot of heart attacks and you've had a weak heart and all this kind of stuff, you probably shouldn't be using THC or a lot of it.
Which is fair to say.
In that case.
But
what about CBDs and Gs and Ns? There's a whole lot of other ways. You get Delta 8s. We just hooked up with a lab, a good friend of ours in Bodenham. Phenomenal work. Says, I got a bunch of Delta 8s. It's not the same psychoactive as you're going to get out of the 9s, but the body stuff is phenomenal. Yeah. And so he set us up with a tincture. He's got a nice blend of D8s, the 9s, and CBD, and I've been taking it every morning, and it's like we smoke less. I don't even, you just don't run after it. Yeah. It's a comfortable place to be all day, and it's less, psychoactive. It's body. It's nice. Okay. It's really nice. And so he's setting us up what we decided to do. We haven't got it done yet, but he kind of sent us over 4 or 5 grams of some nice D8 distillate. We'll get it sampled into some products, and we'll just give it away, donate it to our regular patients that come in on a regular, for the chocolates, and say, tell me what you think.
Exactly.
Where you're at with this, right? Because you guys are the regs. You guys are the ones that come in by 2 or 300 milligram bars on a regular.
Yeah, so you clearly know what your baseline is.
So
you can give us a good...
That's right. Give us good feedback. Doesn't mean we'd ever walk away from D9s, because we definitely want those, because they're still medicinal value and they're fun. and they're fun.
The roller coaster.
The more options, the better.
Right. But at the same time, you can you have some fun with this, and you get to, really truly call it full spectrum.
Yeah. That's cool.
At the end of the day. So
one thing that we've always done too from the beginning, since the day we opened, was we conform to the patient. So like, it's not just like what we have at the store. It's like, what can we make? Yeah. What can we get you?
What do you like?
What do you
need? I think that's the big part to figuring out the stores.
Like, do you need tinctures? Do you need a 1-to-1, a 2-to-1?
Right. So his good experience with that exactly was we were growing this one strain a few years back, and it's a great white hype or something like, and it just had that really, like a lot of hazes or like the lemon haze, super lemon haze, silver haze. It's got that like kind of metallic kind of smell to it, taste to it. I'm not a fan, right? I'm like, I don't like it. I don't want to grow it.
Yeah,
he's like, I love it. And I'm like, I don't want it. He loves it. Well, you know what? Just so happens we had that strain when we opened TruBlooms, and it fucking went off the shelf. Yeah. I'm like, okay, touche. Where's the crow? I'll fucking eat it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we had a strain like that I didn't want to grow. And he's like,
I love it. Yeah.
It's too good.
If it's good, it's really good. If it sucks, then it just...
Right.
It's just one of those ones that...
Yeah. Wasn't a big producer, but... Just
the most gnarly nugs on every crotch.
And it was just phenomenal. Yeah. So we worked through that, and and we've got to ourselves to I think at this point a pretty good working position. We've had a lot of great help, family, friends, that come along to support. So it's worked out well, and then as the industry has grown, we get great conversations to opportunities to sit here and and have these kind of podcasts. I met with just randomly met this other fella. Last week. That's another industry guy, but he's down south, and they have a podcast, and and just like, wow, this is a great place to be, because it really spreads this word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People truly get to understand the hard work that went into this.
Yeah. That it's hard to do it all. Like filming yourself online type of thing now. So people can watch and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna swing in and see him.
That's right.
Because some people drive forever to come see a certain store.
That's correct.
So they might as well hit up a couple.
That's right. Yeah.
That was one of the most amazing things that I found when I was working at the store in Manchester. It was like, you drove how far away?
Yeah. It's awesome.
2 hours?
It makes you feel good. Shit. It honestly does. It really does make you feel good.
It feels not real. That's what it feels like.
Right. Really surreal.
Eric from the beginning was always like, we got to get our face out there. We gotta do more videos. We got to do this, and like I'd always be the one filming, and I'd never be the one that wanted to be on camera. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, I'm good.
Right.
He's like, no, but we have to. Like, you have to, and I'm like. But I'm not. Even to today, Sean, our guy who's covering us at the front, he's like, I got a couple more tickets. He cooks too, and he's like, I got a couple more tickets, and Eric's like, well, I need you to be here. Like, we got to get going, and I'm like, oh, Eric, it's fine. I'll stay. You go represent. Yeah. It's fine. I'll be right here. And he's like, Sean just said he's on his way. I'm like, fuck. Okay. All right. I'll go.
Yeah, well, because I think it just becomes more personal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I am now at this point too.
That's the thing, because you're kind of like us. We were both the same way. Like, we don't want to take pictures.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about us. It's about the product. The weed is what we care about.
Yeah.
And if the customers like the weed, then great.
Yeah.
Then they're doing us a service. But it's like,
hopefully they take the pictures.
Right,
the
but
way I
then,
think.
but then you'll see
there is a little piece to it that they want to
see you.
They want to know who you
wanna
are.
know who
They
you
want
are.
to talk
And it's
to
like,
you.
at least now they can see how ugly the face is, and when they walk in, they're not surprised.
Yeah, they're like, these some ugly son of a bitches.
Because here I am at the front of the store. I'm
Yeah.
at the front of the store. We
Yeah.
split it now. Like if he's not there, I'm there. If I'm there, he's not. He's out back, or he's at the grow. And like you were saying, like, oh, you got to grow, and now you got a store, and like that dynamic. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Hang on, like you got to be like. His wife calls me his work wife?
Man wife.
The man wife.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to get permission from the man wife, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I'll take it, I guess. But oh yeah, we bounce off each other.
We just got stuff to do. When you've been working,
Well, by the way,
guys
no,
long
he can't
enough-
come home yet.
Right. You guys have probably been working together long enough.
Oh, yeah.
You kind of know exactly, probably more than likely, what you're thinking, and that you can just expect that that's kind of going to get done.
Yeah.
It would be a catastrophe for something to not get done on the other side, just because you got the same goals.
Right. Yeah. It's 100%.
Well, and as you know, like the development of a new grow, like what we're doing right now,
Yeah, that's
especially
right.
when you're
You guys
doing
are
shit
in the middle
yourself
of it.
or trying to
Yeah.
line up contractors, that's like an hour by hour fucking thing. That's insane.
That's right. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So you guys get it. And you've done it a couple times, right? You
A
guys
few
have.
times.
You've
A few times.
been in a grow, got out, gone to another one, gone to another
5.
one.
Gone to
Five
two
to be
or
exact.
Gone to 2 or 3 at
You got your
the same
final resting
time.
spot?
No.
No, that's the
I
thing.
don't think so. I want to do one. My goal is to do one from the ground up, completely 100%.
The way you want it to
The
be.
exact way I want it to be.
Yeah. So I
Plumbing
think,
in the floor. And
radiant floor and all that stuff.
Just everything.
And so in
the
a
groundwork
groundwork that
all
we're
the
at
way
right
up.
now, we've got an opportunity where we'll get a chance to acquire the building. We're in contract with the guy, but we have another year before we have to move fast.
Right.
And it's a position where the town has gone through, did their land ordinance, said that they would allow, cultivation tier 3, 4, for adult use stuff. Of course, all medical.
Yeah.
But kitchen space, manufacturing, production, lab work if you want to get into lab work, and essentially that's kind of the way that we see ourselves really getting that space right into kind of where we want it to be, so we can produce nice, comfortable place, radiant floor heating, get the lights, the ACs that you want to be at. But in the long terms, I think that we also see ourselves developing more into this edible game as well, just because we know that when we get the grow right where we want it to be, it becomes a bit predictable, right? But in this, as the economy grows, the acceptability of cannabis grows, whether or not we even talk about adult use or not, it doesn't even matter, because even in rec, we're all running dry, right? We're all getting by, but it feels awkward because we're used to being able to hold 10, 12 pounds from our products and our harvest, and we're like, shit, I only got 3 units back there. I got to do something. So you're moving fast, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And so it became, a thought that, well, that's one stressor that we won't want to have, that we can, do enough of the flower. If there's any accidents, it doesn't have to be, catastrophic and you're shut down for a couple of months. But we can also participate in this game by doing some great flower, but then working on this edible thing, which again, at the beginning of a conversation, trying to work towards the health side of things. It's an approach that not a lot of guys have done yet with their edibles.
They're not taking
it's still sugar based. Everything is just sugar. And there's a time and a place for all of that, right? I'm not picking on it because we do some, right? But we just know that it's given a choice. What should I do?
Yeah. What should I eat?
I should take the healthier option, right? And so we'll work our way towards that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That would be sick.
Yeah.
Well, and then asking daily for better.
And then you could have non-medicated too. You know what I mean?
Well,
If
that's
it's
correct.
that good.
That's
Right.
correct.
That's where I would come in, because none of it works for me.
Yeah.
I'm taking
Right.
1,000 milligrams.
Right.
It did nothing.
Just didn't work for you.
didn't do anything.
There's some things down the pipeline that
I'm not happy about it.
crazy.
Trust me.
There's things I think coming down the pipeline that might help affect in a different way, though. With CBG, like we sell CBG flower now. That's a phenomenal product. At first, it was difficult to kind of show folks, well, this is hemp, and it's different because of X, Y, and Z. And then when they finally gave it a try, because they'll mix it with their regular cannabis or just smoke it as regular hemp, because we only have it in the flower sense right now. But now that we know about it,
So what do they use it for?
well, it's mostly for a lot of these folks, it's anxiety. For a lot of them,
So it helps.
Anxiety.
It's just wicked mild.
It's incredibly mild, still great
THC.
body, right?
Yeah.
Good body, but it's not all psycho.
So
It's,
someone that's like trying to quit cigarettes or something.
yeah,
Exactly.
well, that would be phenomenal for them as well. Absolutely, because they can still keep with the hand habit, right? Because you got to try the hand habit is a tough one to get by.
The old hand habit.
It is. It's you gotta do something, right? You gotta work. You gotta work through something. Yeah, he's like, boy, oh fucking boy.
That'd be a good name for edible.
You know what? You're right. We're gonna call this one the hand habit. I love it. So it'll the other side is for folks that we got people that are just they're not with THC because it makes them anxious, and now they're all of a sudden like, wait a minute, this is a game changer. Even my mom and them, they just recently were in today and they bought up.
Well, they were in a couple of days ago, so his mom comes in probably every other day.
That's good.
And she came in. And I said, I think I've showed her the CBG product a few times, and she was always like, no THC.
Yeah, no THC.
Where's
the good times?
You know what I mean? So this time we have a display, and it's been there for a little bit. So I open it up and I pull out a nug, and I was like, here, take this nug home, make it like your first high of the day, like tomorrow. Don't do it tonight. Not after 6 beers and
be fresh.
Be fresh.
First thing in the morning.
I want you to try it first thing without anything else. She come in that next day. Where is it? We need some more of it. That was amazing.
So it's It's that kind of stuff that you might find that even if it's not the psychoactive approach because of the way the body metabolizes THC, there's other ways to get into it. So if we make an edible like that, where again, like you're saying, it doesn't have to be medicinally infused with any kind of THC-based products, but you could still go with CBD and CBG and some other things. I think there are new things to come with that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Another couple come in and. He buys pre-rolls by the 4 packs at a time, and then his wife comes in just to hang out with him or whatever, just to check out the place, and she can't smoke at all because it makes her super paranoid, and she's already paranoid, and I was like, well, we have pre-rolls of this too. I said, just try a pre-roll, just try it out. And I think I even gifted it to her the first time.
We do that a lot. We do a lot.
Just try it out. Just tell me,
especially with that product.
It's there are experiments right now in living, breathing. So. Boom, she comes in the next day, buys like 3 or 4 more.
Yeah.
She's like, these things are great. Now I can like enjoy it and like go out with her husband.
That
and
little transition to like giving out a free sample. That's what I want the next time I come in. I don't even want the other shit.
I never even knew about it. Never even knew it was available. And
that's my idea.
Do you need your card for that?
No.
That's my idea of selling shit to people as far as weed wise, because like I don't ever try to push anything on anyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Just try this.
Yeah. Just try it. If you don't like it, we had.
If you don't like it, never do it again. Not gonna hurt my family.
We had a great experience early in when we opened up TruBlooms. I coach football, and I had a coach who the father-in-law was on hospice, with kidney failure, and so we made a 1-to-1. It's a 1,000 milligram 1-to-1. I brought it over and we sat down. It was in the evening. The fella, he was in the bed. It's hospice care, and he was just pretty well, looking, but there was no communication, right? So I'm talking to the daughter and to the son-in-law, and we just did the rundown like we do for 45, 50 minutes. Here's the deal. This is how it works. This is what I think it probably might do. And I said, but if you don't like it, don't use it. Just let me know. I'll come back. I'll get it. You can throw it away. That's fine. But I just want you to know that this is where we're at.
Because the family was like split decision on it, right?
They were kind of split decision. They were just like, I don't know.
No real experience in that family.
Well, so much of this is so personal. Like,
each
cannabinoid is so personal to eat.
You
can't put on you what I feel. It just doesn't.
That's
work
correct.
That
That's 100% correct. It's always like the same statement. You're never on the same. You can be on the same page, but not the paragraph or the sentence or the punctuation. It's just not really there.
Yeah.
So I left this tincture with the fella and the family, and I left, and I just told them, hit him up with a few drops. This is the numbers, and you'll be good. And at 45, 50 minutes later, I get these picture texts coming in of the old man sitting up in his chair with a smile on his face, and he literally said, because he had complete kidney failure, that he had a catheter. He said that he needed the keys to the bathroom. He said because he felt like he had to go to the bathroom. what that said to me, I mean, now the fella, he went on to pass away, right? But he sat up when they gave him a few drops, and she said, "Dad, do you want a few more?" And he kept like suckling on the dropper, meaning like, yeah, I want more. He heard everything I said, and so he was ready for it. And he took the drops in, and he had a great night. Like, he felt like he had to take a piss. He was sitting up and smiling, and she said that it was just everything for them to take that.
Yeah, and it had been a while since he had even smiled.
Right, you know, so it's that kind of stuff. Another guy came in, and he's a senior, and had been on hadn't drank a drop, hadn't done any drugs for years and years, and I had to try to explain to him, you take aspirin, you take ibuprofen, let's just not personally beat yourself up about what you're doing here, because you're not using drugs. Let's get this correct, right? So I set him up with some tinctures, and it was lower back stuff, pain. He's probably in his lower 70s, I guess, for his age.
Yeah.
And he came back, a few times. It worked well. He even tried to use the bottle and then don't use the bottle, and then realized that stuff really helped. So then he came back, and the conversation as he left, he said, "Well, it's helping the back, but I don't know if this really matters. But I don't stand in front of the bathroom and have to take a piss all night long like I used to." Well, to me, medicinally, I'm saying, well, yeah, your prostate's not as swollen, the bladder's firing, the kidneys are working the way they're supposed to. And he didn't think it was a big deal, but to me, that's a huge deal to hear that testimony, because we just know what we're doing. So it's like Tom was saying earlier, they're our guinea pigs, and I tell them, you guys have to come back and tell us how this is working out. We need to know, because
or if it's not, and we need to know both.
I gotta know both.
We
gotta know
each individual situation matters.
It's different because there's no place to go. There's no bank of education to go talk about your cannabis. You're not getting to a university program. They're not going to get a big book that talks about all this medicinal
value. No, they haven't been able to do
right
federally funded research.
Correct.
No one's doing
That's correct. They got you go back and the Hebrew University, right? Those guys, the Spaniards, Canada, all those guys got years. They got decades of education on this stuff.
Yeah.
But
the only people that have it here are the growers.
That's correct.
It's like,
that's correct.
Because you're only one person, you can't do
that's right.
these wide studies. Like, it just doesn't.
Yeah. Once Bayer and Pfizer get a hold of this product, then they'll let their testing.
So that's why I wonder though about like it's sitting next to like heroin on Schedule 1 drugs. Like,
well, dude,
when they take that off of there though, like where does it go from there?
It should just be gone. I would expect.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be on schedules at all.
I know, but then where's it like?
I think each cannabinoid has to fall
it.
into a certain place, and they need to do way more research.
Yeah, 100%.
Way more research, because
it obviously needs
each
to be
cannabinoid is so personal.
It's a good way to put it.
I don't know.
It is it is in the sense that people with terpenes. So terpenes are a structure that are cannabinoid-like structures, and so terpenes are small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier, so it kind of stimulates. It's like a pre-synaptic scenario.
Okay.
It gets in, tells those receptors something good's about to come, so they get them all fired up and fluffed up, and then in comes the cannabinoids, and they're like, "Move over, bitch, I'm here," and so that's kind of.
Let me feel this guy.
I'm in here. You know what I mean? Get put a nail with this.
This is where we gotta insert a cartoon.
We're getting chocolate tonight.
So it comes in, and so it'll work in that way. And so what happens with patients is that because it's so personal, and that because they work individually, we could talk about the 18 or 28% THC or whatever, but just smell the damn thing and let the terpenes do the talking.
Yeah.
Because the terpenes are going to grab you, because personally, you might not like this one over that.
That's been my other thing with like pushing stuff out of stores. Like, I smell this, but maybe you don't smell this.
Correct.
Tell me what you smell.
That's right.
I fucking can't tell you what you smell.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I
ask
put them
my
out
patients. Like, let your nose do the deciding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like when they turn their nose, I'm like, okay, that's not for them.
Yeah, no, not
people
for you.
do it. Right.
And it's not going to offend me.
Yeah.
You
Gosh. Right. We kind of laugh at that point. We're like, because the looks when they like,
okay.
We're like, that's phenomenal, right? Yeah. I love
And
it.
like some other dude will come in and be like, he'll like love that one.
Yeah.
That lady just hated that one.
Yeah,
That was weird.
Yeah. One lady had said she said to his husband, "That smells like your feet," And he's like, "I know, I love it." And so he wants me to weigh him up a quarter. I'm like, "I know, it's phenomenal, right?" And it is pretty raunchy, but I mean,
yeah. My thing for a while has been that the fact that, I mean, THC in particular, because that's, if you get a drug test, that's what they're looking for.
That's right.
The fact that it sticks around in your body and your body doesn't immediately get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that speaks volume.
There's something going on here.
Well, that's
because anything foreign, your body gets rid of.
So yeah, so
Quickly.
you may know this stuff. A little history lesson that I typically get in with my patients is that. So I said the Hebrew University, right? So Raphael Meshulam, right? Here's the history on that. You guys may know this stuff. Raphael Meshulam is the doctor. He's an Israeli doctor. He's a chemist who was able to say, back in the 60s, the military was looking at testing with cocaine and heroin and cannabis. And so they were looking at these in LSD, right? Yeah, that's what the Ultra K, Ultra MK. Or MK Ultra.
MK Ultra.
That's right, MK Ultra. So what happened was he was able to say, seeing the product work on the body, you would see these receptors and you'd see this product come in and they would bond and you'd say, wait a minute, that's awkward. Your body doesn't naturally have a receptor for something it doesn't produce.
Exactly.
So then that's when the questions came in. So what are we naturally producing? So then they go on to look through this stuff and there's products. One of them is called 2AG, right? It's actually being produced in breast milk. So when babies that are breastfed, they're actually receiving cannabinoids. Those are what's called endocannabinoids, right? Okay. What we're smoking is called exocannabinoids or phytocannabinoids because it came from a plant. So they found, well, wait a minute, this plant produces a chemical that's really just like the ones that you naturally produce. The other one, anandamide. Anandamide comes when you eat dark chocolate. When you eat that bliss molecule, right? You get with the old lady later, you're feeling really nice, all the stuff goes on. Serotonin, norepinephrine, all of those, they're actually cannabinoid-like compounds. And so they all work a lot of the same in the same receptors. So the reason why it's so personal is because your body actually, that's the endocannabinoid system. Here comes this outside stimulus, right? Because you think, well, I live in 2020, you got a president, you got a this and that. I'm not feeling so good these days, right? But you're smoking something that brings in these outside molecules that make you feel good. Yeah. Well, then all of a sudden the body says, yeah. Because where else are you getting cannabinoids, right? It's not in your milk, it's not in these things. You had made a post a while ago about the feral hemp that used to go on, right? And all the wildlife would eat up feral hemp. And that's really why you would have phenomenal deer. All that red meat that would eat feral hemp, and then you'd go eat up all that red meat. I mean, your body's getting this great cannabinoid profile, but it doesn't happen anymore, right? Mm. So now you got to get that exo or that phytocannabinoid because it mimics a lot of the same things that you get. So it's why it's also so healthy to be breastfed, right? It's also why it's really nice to just feel good and feel good about yourself. Yeah. The products that you put in your body will make you feel good. Yeah. And then it stimulates the endocannabinoid system.
Well, and that's why I think certain strains hit certain people in certain ways, and they 100%. Love certain strains.
That's exactly right.
That's their breast milk.
That's their breast milk.
Wait a minute, is that another candy bar?
Holy shit.
Wait a minute, that's a white chocolate bar. That's fucked up.
Something.
Oh, that's fucked up.
It might be a strain.
That's a strain. Breast milk.
Across, lamb's breath.
Lamb's breath. Oh, it's messed up. So that's
milk.
essentially, the 101 that I give to folks about it because it's the cannabinoid actually does work just like the ones your body produces.
Yeah. So that's
the 101. And then when people wrap their head around it, because it's with like our edibles, for instance, you wouldn't just you can take it and bond it to like butter. Or the way that they used to get done. But butters, your body doesn't absorb a lot of it. Saturated fats, it wants to spit out the majority of all that fat. It doesn't absorb a lot of it at all. Yeah. So you got to find a fat that, first of all, your body will take in. And that typically is MCT oil, which is a medium chain triglyceride. And essentially, you take coconut oil, clean that baby right up, and whatever the fat that's left behind from that thing is the most bioavailable oil we can really offer without, reaching some frickin', unethical conditions. And so the same thing is so then you take the MCT oil because it's bioavailable, but then you say, well, I want to get some more piggyback. I want to get some more into this. And you'll see a lot of companies that are doing it. And I'm not telling anybody anything that you won't find on Google, right? Yeah. So you take lecithin. The cell produces lots of proteins and fats, livers and kidneys and hearts and whatever, lungs, fingernails. They all produce these proteins and these fats that allow things to cross in and out of the cell. Once it gets inside the cell, the body will metabolize it the way it's supposed to be. But if you don't get a lot absorbed into it, you're not going to get a lot of metabolism. So you excrete it, right? So you're eating it or you're smoking it, but it's not getting absorbed a lot, you're excreting it. So if you take lecithin, which your body naturally produces, you can find it in two ways. One is in most of these products, they'll put soy lecithin, right? Well, soy lecithin, in some cases, soy can exacerbate some cancers, like breast cancer, for example, some of the female hormone cancers. So in this case, we use sunflower lecithin because that definitely works a lot more bioavailable. And like I said, you can't pull human lecithin because that's fucked up, right?
Back to eating.
I'm keeping my
eating
lecithin.
humans. Yeah. They're eating fucking people. You know
I'm keeping my lecithin
yeah,
for myself.
keep lecithin for yourself. So essentially, what happens is when we make our oil and our blends, we'll always take the oil that we heat up, we blend the lecithin into it, then we blend the cannabinoids to it, and now we've got the perfect carrier. Nice. And then we can blend.
Now I'm wondering like how we can get him high off an
Fuck up. Yeah, I'm trying to.
You just ain't eating lecithin, right?
Maybe we need to do another episode, but with what you guys come up that will.
Yes.
That'll see how it works.
5,000
milligrams.
Chill out.
Hour 2, 3. I'm fucking.
Yeah.
I wanted to get high, but not this high.
One of these days, it's just gonna happen.
It's just
I
gonna
get
happen.
to that
It's gonna
point,
happen.
Yeah, but his dad doesn't get it.
Yeah, it's my dad and my
Yeah.
brother both don't.
Just
edibles don't work.
Don't metabolize, and so in some of those cases, you just wonder what it was that you were eating. What's that?
He's excreting
it. It's kind of.
You need some human lecithin for him.
Well, okay, so it's funny. The trap store we went to, the first store we went to in Colorado, the guy told me supposedly I might not have an enzyme in my stomach that breaks it down.
So I mean, and that's kind of where I would go with it. I would go along the way of something bio, that's going on in there. It's just not breaking the product down.
My mom gets fucked up.
Your kidneys or your liver may not be metabolizing things the right way, so it's not getting
how many
the uptake.
You've tried a lot.
1,000 milligrams.
No, I mean like often, like different.
Every time someone gets a new edible, I try.
Have you done a full spectrum?
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna try these for sure. And
try it. Yeah, just crush it.
Yeah,
see what happens. Just crush it.
If something breaks the seal, then
we're gonna go.
Addicted. Straight up addicted.
You'll be standing out in front of my door tomorrow morning, bang, 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 talking about those dark chocolates.
Well, that actually happened one time. One of our first events was like a Halloween soup and chicken soup and biscuits.
Oh yeah.
Chicken soup and infused biscuits.
Yeah, we're just giving away free food.
It was free to anybody with a patient card. Right?
Yeah.
And people were just started showing up, and this one guy shows up, and he's telling us the same thing, like, edibles are nothing for me, doesn't do nothing for me. So he eats 2 of these biscuits, and they were like 25?
No, they were only 5s. I just made them smalls.
Yeah, okay, 5 milligrams each, and he eats 2 of them, and then he leaves, and then he comes back the next day, and he's like, "You guys got any more of those biscuits?"
Yeah, because he just said that he just never really felt any kind of effect from it, and it's not like it stove him up. It felt great, and
well, along the lines of like bioavailability, don't you sometimes need certain compounds to break down others
that's
or
correct.
to be uptake
that's
by
correct.
others?
That's right. That's what that enzyme would be all about. So if you're, you'd have to get blood panel testing and all that kind of stuff. And of course,
wow, that is an episode.
At this point, you wouldn't find a lab to do it, right? Because they're not doing any federal testing. You couldn't say, test me for the enzyme that breaks down cannabis.
We're doing this in-house.
Yeah, I would go do it right now.
They kind of
honestly would.
Yeah, it's when they test like drug testing, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the enzyme that shows up that breaks down that drug. So they don't actually see like cocaine or cannabis in someone's system. There's an enzyme that appears that breaks down that product, and that's how they find out that someone was using it. But based upon the level of enzyme in your blood, they would know how long ago or how much you used.
So if I would have only eaten THC at that time, I would have passed that drug test.
That's correct. That's right. That's man. Should have. Yeah.
Now you gotta
smoked it.
Yeah, you gotta prove you ate 1,000 milligrams. Yeah, I'm about to do.
I'll do it right fucking now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It'll just make me depressed.
I feel bad about myself.
Everyone else is looking at me like a great time.
Right, like fucking eating mushrooms and shit. That's how it always comes on to me. Like the first smooth buzz, it's like the body buzz is like mushrooms. It's really fun.
With weed.
Yeah, with edibles. It's like a smooth, comfortable body buzz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I tell him about how great it is. Everyone tells him about
how
much buzz the buzz is different.
Yeah.
Oh, you're smoking your joint, loser.
Yeah, no, that's terrible. Yeah, that'd be like not having a hand habit.
Right. Yeah, like not having hands.
Jesus.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, so
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of it.
420 just went right by us, guys.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Strode on
past
by.
it.
Yeah.
We're over 2 hours.
Yeah. Really?
Wow,
That's
hell
awesome. Yeah, cool. Yeah, what's the length you guys typically run? Until it's over.
There's been no typical,
typical.
Until we run its course.
Yeah. No, these are great programs. Again, we thank you guys for letting us get out here because it's whenever time we get up to the State House or do anything like that, we try to get that stuff in and we spread the word as much as we can and it's kind of help.
I sat in on some,
fucking end the stigma.
Yeah, I've sat in on a lot of those. Whatever the
legislative
OMP and what's the other?
Well,
the advisory committee.
Yeah,
they met for like the first time, and I was like, "Yeah, let's go." So me and a couple of the guys went and sat in on it, and I was just like dumbfounded. Like everybody gets like one chance to be like,
yeah.
So and then they talk for like 5 seconds, and then they say, and then they turn off and they sit back, and then like they do that for like 12 people, and it was just a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah,
and nothing gets solved.
Nothing.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
And the biggest thing they don't want is like us getting along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's the
correct.
biggest thing.
That's
It's
correct.
like I've always said for a while that we should have like a caregiver party auction and raise a shitload of money for something.
That's right.
Like, look.
Yeah, that's correct.
Look. There it is.
That's
It's this
right.
collective.
That's right.
Can't call it that, but this group of guys
Right.
just handed over $50,000 to whatever.
That's
like
right.
a school.
Yeah, something huge, right?
Tell me it's
yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Correct.
Correct.
Wellness, match it. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see what you got.
Come on.
Right, and that's just it. Is you said it. We've all worked way too hard, right? We're staying on that group of people that are just trying to help look out for each other.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to want to have to beat each other up over it, especially if you're the small guy, right? If you're the small guys, which most of us are, right? I mean, you got the wellness, and there's a couple other guys I think that are associated with some other town people, but they're backed, by hundreds of thousands, and so it only makes sense that hey, you got $10,000, you got $10,000, you got $10,000. All right, now let's do it together.
Yeah,
and that's the entourage effect, right?
Yeah,
that's where that comes from.
Well, at the end of the day, how much do you need to make a year? You don't need to make $5 million a year.
Gosh, no.
You know what I mean? So make what you need to make and go home and call it good,
That's
and
right.
then be happy for your neighbor.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
That's right.
It's only better if he does better.
Yeah.
That's the thing I've never understood. Like,
you can't.
Why are you fighting with this guy?
Yeah.
It's better for you if he does better.
That's right. That's correct. And that's, again, at the beginning of the situation, I had said it. We want to go on vacation stuff, but I ain't paying for his fucking drinks. You know what I mean? He drinks liquor. I drink beer.
You would.
Those add up.
If you're having a good night, you would pay.
Yeah, that's
We
right.
have.
Yeah, we've been there for sure. And you're right. I mean, when you live in the state of Maine, you know what it takes to make just a nice, healthy living and still be able to donate to the church and things like that.
Yeah.
So, it's a way to, say that I don't need $3 million,
No.
I don't even need $1 million. I mean, sure, I'd take it, right? If I worked that hard and showed up, but I'm not just trying to say that I'm going to work so hard that that's what's going to take to have my annual
or cut
salary.
people's throat,
Yeah, stepping on toes, cutting throats, bidding wars. There are lots of bidding wars going on these days.
Yeah.
We just won't even subscribe.
No.
I mean, we met a new cannabis company just recently. Now, they've been going for a while, but they hadn't got into many stores yet. And they walked in, offered us a fabulous product. The price was nice. I said, you realize once I tag you on any of my posts, every caregiver that's never, because they don't know who you are,
right?
They're all going to message you, and they're probably all going to just offer you big dollars because they're going to just want to, chop up the price on this. I said, I'm just going to be straight out. I'm not doing that.
Right.
And if that happens, you can just go see those guys.
Yeah.
And he's like, I won't do that. I'll lock you in. I promise that if anybody responds to me, I'll just let him know I don't have enough, which he doesn't because he just barely has enough to get to us. But if but he's a good guy, right? And I feel true to that word, and it's just the sense that I won't participate in that.
Well, I think so many people in this community are like that. They're that size.
Mm-hmm.
They mean well.
Yeah.
They just haven't gotten the opportunity.
Yeah.
And if we work together, then the wellnesses are fucked.
Right. Well, that's correct. They're screwed out. That guy will still get a great number. He'll bring it in. It's a healthy number.
Yeah.
He, gets rid of everything he gets rid of. Our prices don't go up. Keeps it low, so the patients are still getting it.
Yeah.
And like you said, we get our sliver, which is just enough to make the wives happy.
Right.
So.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about, making the wives happy. You know what I mean?
Not them coming home and she's like, "Why the fuck are you doing this?"
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, I mean that's been the case, but I think that we got a couple of good ones, so they've been able to support us through this for a while.
Hell yeah, that's important.
Yeah, they put a lot of support, and whatever we have events and stuff, they'll show up and things like that. So it's nice.
They take good pictures.
Yeah. Take
Always needed.
They look good on camera.
Always needed.
They typically like, so these your guys' wives?
Yeah. Wait a minute. Wait, that's your wife?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yep, TruBlooms.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so why don't you rattle off your address and we'll wrap it up.
Okay, sounds good.
And your Instagram and all that.
Yeah.
And
So we've got a TruBlooms official page.
Yeah.
Is where typically I'll fall behind.
Yeah.
Chocolate edibles is where
Chocolate
Tom
edibles.
will fall behind.
Okay.
Of course, no matter what, we obviously communicate about that.
Yeah.
TruBlooms Wellness on Facebook.
Yep.
We're both admins, so you can get us both there.
Yeah.
Whenever there's a message that comes
Send
through,
hate mail there.
We both
Yeah,
get
send
it.
email. Yeah. Then they're right, and then you can send it, snail mail to 498 Main Avenue in Farmingdale.
Yeah.
That would get you there. You can call us at 215. I'm sorry, 5. That might have a
Everybody's gonna give us
Yikes! So everybody's gonna be calling me.
588.
You son of a gun! Text me 588-7136.
36,
Yeah,
that's it.
7136. And we're on Facebook.
That
We
phone
do
ring.
Or
have
you
a
can
website.
stop in, right?
Just come on down. It's even better. And if you don't have a card yet, that's when you'd stop down. You'd get your little referral. We'd go down there and see.
I got this crazy jingle.
See Harwood.
Betsy.
This really
That's
cool
right.
jingle.
Old Betsy.
Jingle?
Can we play it?
Sure.
A jingle?
Yeah,
dude.
It's
You got a
freaking-
jingle?
It's awesome.
Yeah, we got a
Yeah, you
jingle.
can play a
Yeah,
jingle.
you can play a jingle.
Charlie Sheen over
So
there.
jingle.
Winning.
Here we go.
TruBlooms made a sane education at TruBlooms. Relieve your pain and frustration at TruBlooms. With a T-mail tree to write. Hey man, all you gotta do is go down to 498 Main Ave, Farmingdale, Maine, and it's happy hour every day from 4:20 to close, bro.
There it is.
Nice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
So there we are, guys.
First.
Thanks for having us.
Right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, it's
That was
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.